Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 221st edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings. Joining me this evening, we have Adam Smido Smith, Mr. Angry, as you'll find out later on. Dave the Hater Lowback, he's always hating on something. Andy Patterson, and Tommy the Guru Allen. We're going to be chatting later on all the fallout from the BoxNation card, bit of Flanigan, bit of Liam Smith, Liam Williams, plenty going on over in Manchester. And Smido will get his chance to have a good rant. We also have a special guest coming on. It's not Porky Russ, although he is coming on as well. But you'll find out soon enough. We're going to start off this week, guys, I think, Saturday night, the MGM National Harbour. It looked like quite an arena over in Maryland. Wouldn't mind going there myself in the future. But we had VASYL Lomachenko defeating Jason Sosa, successfully defending his WBO World Super Featherweight title through a ninth round retirement win for Lomachenko. Hey to Dave Lowback, let's get you in straight away. Hopefully you've seen this fight, but I know that that'll not stop you anyway from commenting. Lomachenko looked pretty impressive, given all the moves, left, right. You didn't know which way he's going to turn. Fair play to Sosa, Dave. He gave it a go. He stepped in the ring where many others have feared to tread, but he just wasn't good enough at the end of the day, and the corner pulled him out, which I thought was the right decision.
Yeah, it was probably the right decision. It was fairly routine. I wasn't overly impressed by Lomachenko. I thought he missed a fair amount. Sosa threw in a good bit of head movement, and a lot of those punches were not landing cleanly. He obviously landed his share of clean shots, and earned the stoppage victory. But he was kind of showboating. He was dancing like a fruit, acting like a prick. And I mean, he should be focused on getting the guy out of there. He shouldn't be even fighting this guy, really. I mean, Sosa's a good fighter, but he's not on Lomachenko's level, and I don't want to see him trying to get flashy in there with a guy who can't even do anything against him. I did like, however, that he called out Mikey Garcia in the post fight, because that's a fight I want to see. That's a fight between two top guys who I don't think anyone else is around that weight, at least, is really going to challenge, unless Mikey Garcia moves up and goes after somebody like Crawford. But I want to see maybe at a catch weight. I think that's the fight to make. That interests me way more than anything that happened last night.
Andy, Dave's already pushing on past the Sosa fight, looking at the future options. I think Lomachenko wanted to get Orlando Salido back in the ring. Do you think that he needs to beat Salido in the rematch? Do you think that'll be a black mark on his record, or do you think he can just carry on regardless?
Carry on regardless, mate. I think the Salido fight was there, but I don't know if something seems to stick in my mind that he wanted too much money for a rematch. It'd be good to see him, write that blot on his record. I had that a close fight. I think I had that a draw, that one. But I actually asked Steve Kim. Actually, I know he's got a podcast going, and I'd asked him on Monday about the potential of this Lomachenko Garcia fight. And I think he kind of basically says, well, Garcia's going to be here as a free agent. He's not willing to work with any promoters, and those that he's going to basically asking to promote fights for him are wanting options on him, or they want a package deal. So, would Garcia go to, I don't think he'd be work with Aram after being in the ring for 2 years and stuff, so it's a bit of a shame. But the fight itself, actually, I kind of know what David's alluding to. I mean, I like Lomachenko, but last night I was getting a wee bit kind of bored, but he is good. He's a bit opposing here and back and forward. I don't mind that, considering that he is that good. But I think he's going to struggle a wee bit. I think if he goes up the weights, especially someone who could just maybe just take what he's got to offer, and maybe just a slightly bigger guy can maybe tag him. I mean, it's very hard to hit him clean. He's always moving. He's always got his head off centre. He's always rolling. Took a couple of body shots, I did think, there last night. Seemed to take him pretty well. But it was a so-so fight. I mean, he does what he does. We kind of hate on the guy. He goes in there, does his business, and that's what you want. He's calling out Garcia. I think he's talking about Crawford and that as well. So that is the route we want to see him go down. When hopefully soon. I know he's got eyes on a third title before he's 10-0 or something like that. So you go up to lightweight, and Garcia's there waiting for him. Well, hopefully anyway. Flanigan, I don't really want to see that fight. I think, well, we'll go into that fight in a minute, I suppose, but I think he would just punish and punch holes in Flanigan. So we've got to kind of really hold out for the Garcia fight. But if he's willing to step right up to 140 and go for Crawford, that would just basically show his stones, because I think he is going to try and be this next ATG, I suppose, or try and be an all-time great, but he's going to have to kind of get better opponents. As you say, Sosa's not a bad opponent. He's just he wasn't good enough or slick enough to basically hang below Lomachenko. We need to see him maybe up a few more weight divisions, up to lightweight, see how he fares up there against the natural bigger guys. And Garcia will have a size difference over the top of him as well, so got to be prepared for that one as well.
Guru, I want to hear your thoughts on the fight, obviously, as usual. But before you go into the technical analysis and the breakdowns of what happened with the Sosa fight, let me just ask you this question from Emma, came in just before the show was about to start. Emily, she asks, what's the highest weight class that Lomachenko can go to and win world titles at, Tommy? How far do you see him going up the ladder?
He could definitely win a title at 135. I'm not sure about 140. He could probably win a title at 140, but it would really, really depend on the opponent. He's not going to be a Terence Crawford there, I don't think. But I think you could put him with Ricky Burns. He'd probably beat Ricky Burns, but anybody that's elite up there would beat him. But maybe 140. 140, I'd say.
And what about the fight itself?
What's that, mate?
What about the fight itself last night? Sorry, I think you were going to say something else.
I was impressed with Lomachenko again. I think he's unbelievable to watch the talent. I'm just running out of superlatives to give him. I think he's outstanding. His speed. I'm watching him last night, and he's throwing 3 or 4 punches, and I'm sitting there struggling. These punches are landing. They're so quick. I think the guy's just on. He's just on another level. I love Mikey Garcia as a fighter. He's brilliant to watch. He's a good puncher, a good boxer, really accurate, but this guy Lomachenko is just on a different planet, man. I felt a bit sorry for Sosa last night because I like Sosa. I was really impressed with him against Stephen Smith, but he just couldn't do nothing with Loma last night. Loma's just going to keep continuing to dominate in that. I'd like to see him get the winner between the Davis and
Walsh.
Liam Walsh. I'd like to see him get the winner of that fight, which will probably be Davis, and then move up to 135.
Okay, thanks for that, Tommy. We have Smido on the line, and also one of our listeners, Ashley Cates, has joined us. Just before I get Smido in, I want to throw a question out to anybody, and I'm going to come back to this at the end of our contribution. So have a think about this one, guys. It's from Paul_725. I believe this is actually Paul David Webb who's asked this question. He said, question for the pod, are there any fighters alive with a better punch variety than Lomachenko? So have a think about that, guys. Any fighters alive with a better punch variety than Lomachenko? Smido.
As an active fighter?
Active or alive maybe means retired, but someone who's still breathing.
Gonzalez. Chocolatito,
that is. Maybe Gonzalez. Yeah.
I'm not talking about Uneski, the guy who fought Gvozdyk last night. No.
Steve, on Lomachenko last night, I think Donny and Andy are being a little bit harsh. I just think he's excellent. He was in control.
I'm not being harsh.
I think Donny was, and you agreed with him a little bit.
No, what I'm saying is, I was slightly bored.
I'm not Donny.
Sorry.
Slightly bored with it. That was all. I just wanted me, I would just like to see him really I want to see him knocking people out. And I know he's not that type of fighter, but I would just love to see him just ice somebody. Just to fucking mind.
Well, we iced Rocky Martinez, did he not?
There's that as well, but I want to see him just like fucking in there and just absolutely knock someone out. It's not a slight on the guy. I like the guy. I've watched him for the likes of the amateurs, you say, but as he goes up in weight, he's going to need either all that boxing IQ or he's going to need a bit of power in there somewhere.
Well, I think it's the former. But I would say that he wanted Salido. Sosa probably wasn't the first, second, or even third choice opponent, but he got in there, and I think you've got to give credit to Sosa because compared to Walters, he didn't quit and he kept having a go. He did land a couple of body shots, like what you said, Andy. I'm not talented enough with words or analysis to say how good he is the most unique fighter I think that I've seen. And I just think he's superb. He fights past people. I tried to say that last time before. He fights around the corners. He's always 2 or 3 steps in front. His combinations are superb. Like I say, he always looks in control. And he didn't really start playing about until maybe the 5th or 6th round when he knew he was fully in control. And I actually quite like that. I actually quite like he was doing the old Matador and he hit him with a body shot. I think it was at the end of the 6th that hurt Sosa a little bit, and Lomachenko bent over as to mock him. I thought that was fine. I just if they want to put him in with Garcia, then I think that would be a superb fight. And the way that Garcia is operating now in his career, it's actually quite able to make and likely to happen. The good thing about Lomachenko is he's active as well, fighting regularly. Obviously, the other couple of Ukrainians were on the card last night, so they could go on a little bit of an American roadshow with a couple of stops in Europe. I think that there could be really something. They're all very good. They're all undefeated, and I know we'll come on to the other two guys shortly. Lomachenko's not undefeated, sorry.
We'll forgive you, Smido, don't worry. Right, Ashley, let's get you involved here. Did you stay up last night? Did you watch it this morning? How was your viewing experience of Lomachenko against Sosa?
Can you hear me right, can you?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I tried to stay up last night. I didn't make it, so I watched it this morning. Really impressed with him again. I love his footwork. I love the way he takes that double right step and then throws the left hand. I think it looks really good. I saw, I don't know who it was last week that was saying that he doesn't get people out of there quick enough. Maybe he's not got a fan-friendly style. But I think, how can you not love watching him fight? I mean, it's just amazing to watch. I could watch him dance for 2 hours, to be honest. I don't even need to watch him throw a punch. He's just beautiful to watch him, the way he navigates the ring. I think he played with Sosa last night. I don't think he needs to get him out there in 3 rounds. I mean, who else has he got in his division to make himself look that good? Maybe Gervonta Davis. There aren't that many big fights sitting in Super Feather at the minute. So I think he needs to play on the casual, make himself look really good, announce himself to the public, and then move up gradually. And the big fights will come.
Who would you like to see him fight next, Ashley?
Gervonta Davis, I think. I think it was Andy that says we'd like to see that fight, and then move up.
Can someone remind me of the situation again with Berchelt? Is it Maura? Is he fighting him next?
Berchelt, let me think. Who's that? Is he the one who beat Vargas last time?
I'm sure he was, aye. So I think that takes him out the running. So that's a bit of fucking bollocks. And that guy Corrales as well, him that knocked out Uchiyama, that's another possibility.
Yeah, there's a few names knocking about. I think he wants to unify the titles, doesn't he? Like Ashley says, Andy, maybe get Gervonta Davis in there, providing he beats Liam Walsh, which we all expect that he will.
Well, I see him having a bit of beef with Tevin Farmer last night, so that's obviously, they'll make that fight next once he beats, well, I think he'll beat Liam Walsh at least. But that is, as Ashley says, who's around there to actually beat to make him look good, superstar, and that, featherweight, there is some good fighters there, but on Lomachenko's level, none. I mean, this is the type of guy Lomachenko is. He's only gonna have to go up and wait to get that superior challenge, because there's absolutely nobody between 126 and 130 can touch him just now. So he's either 135. I would probably say, what is he now? 28, 29. So he's not got much growing left in him. So you would think lightweight's going to be his absolute max. So as you say, you've got to go up to lightweight. There is obviously Garcia, Linares, Evo, and Easter Jr. I think those are really those 3 fights are really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a shame he couldn't have stuck around in it featherweight, because that's a really good division just now. Obviously, you've got Gary Russell still there, so that'd have been a good rematch. Santa Cruz, Frampton, Selby, Valdez, that'd have been a good fight. There'd been good fights down there for him, but I think we're going to hate to see him move to 35 if he doesn't get Gervonta Davis.
Good shout, Tom. Any additional answers? I think, hey, to Dave, you came up with Gonzalez, didn't you, for Paul's question? With a better punch variety, he can be retired. He doesn't have to be active at the moment.
Well, I'm a big fan of Juan Manuel Marquez, right? Well, pre-steroids, you should say, but as he actually developed into as he up through the weight division, his punch variety was brilliant. I'd implore anybody to go and watch his fight against Casamayor. And you say that this guy's a surgeon with gloves on, by the way. It was absolute fucking pinnacle. Absolute pinnacle, that guy. Well, no, the pinnacle of his career, but as in a punch variety, how you took him apart and that was really good. But Lomachenko, active, probably the best right now. But Marquez was fucking tremendous.
My man Canelo Alvarez is there's a shout out for his punch variety. He's really good. He's got every punch in the book.
Could also say Marquez's chief rival, Manny Pacquiao. I mean, he throws.
I don't know. But, Pacquiao was quite basic until Roach kind of really
Yeah, I mean,
stamped his card with him.
I don't mean like early Pacquiao. I mean complete Pacquiao.
Marquez is a good shout, Andy. I would have said him as well, actually. It's the ability to see the openings, isn't it?
It's just and it's basically I just love the way that knockout against Juan Diaz in was it the rematch? Was it the first fight? First fight, it was Diaz is just trying to pressure him, come forward, and that and he let go with this 5-punch combo that just like off the back foot, and as he came off the back foot, he then start coming forward, uppercuts, left hooks, straight right short snaps, absolutely fucking tremendous.
Were you going to jump in there, Gory?
No, mate, just carry on. No, I just unmuted myself by mistake.
No problem. We'll let you off. Right, let's move on to the undercard. Usyk for the time being, and we'll have a quick chat about this Alexander Gvozdyk against Usyk Gonzalez. First of all, I'm going to give Gonzalez his props. We see these Cuban fighters, the likes of your Rigondos, your Laras, never in the ring. Gonzalez is a guy who'll just fight anybody, and he's technically not the best, but he just is willing to have a go, and I actually fear for him now because he's just a head-first brawler. Really love this guy, Gonzalez. He really had a go, and he wanted to knock Gvozdyk out, and he got a beating, really. I was fearing for him at the end, and I think the corner, fair play to the corner, they stood up and they told the referee, look, this is going to have to get ended, this fight. I think it was Bill Clancy who was refereeing at the time, was it Harvey Dock? And I think it was Harvey Dock in the Gvozdyk fight, and I think that Gonzalez just took his lumps, and Gvozdyk is obviously a massive puncher, 12-0 now, 13-0. I think he's had about 11 knockouts. He really looks the goods, this guy, Andy, and he actually unified the NABF and NABO titles last night as well, for what it's worth.
He was really good last night, mate. Been really impressed with this guy. You say 13-0 now. Again, the amateur resume is right up through the roof there. Again, but I think Gonzalez is probably borderline top 10 if he's not a top 10 light heavyweight. So that was a bit of a statement there last night. I'll tell you one thing, see if we're going to keep trying to step this guy up and get him into world title contention. I'll throw this name out there. I don't know if anybody wants to see this fight, but I would like to see him go in against Jean Pascal next. What do you think about that?
I think Pascal, if Pascal would maybe a couple of years ago, I'd agree, but I think he's past it now, to be honest. He would crush
I agree.
I think he'd absolutely crush him in bits.
Yeah, I think Gonzalez.
What's happened to
Pascal?
BF?
He had something. He was supposed to be getting talks with who was it? Who's the American fighter? Was it Barrera or was it the Alvarez guy, Petrov? He had some sort of kind of contract dispute or something like that going on with him. Was it Barrera? Mm-hmm. So that's what's happened with him. But I don't think anybody's wanting that Petrov work just now. Actually, that guy's just a complete brute. Even
no one wants it. But I was watching it last night and thinking it's pretty hot, light heavyweight with a couple of youngsters, younger faces like Gvozdyk and Better Biev, but.
Yeah,
well, that one last night that pushes him up the WBC rankings again, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, he's moving on.
Adonis Stevenson better watch. I think he was top 5 already in the WBC, so he's going to move back up even further now.
What do you think, Tommy? I was looking at his record, and he obviously starts that Mohammadi, who's decent but not great, and he absolutely banjoed him. And he stopped Isaac Chilemba, and who stops Isaac Chilemba? But then he had that sort of aberration against Tommy Carpensi, didn't he? He looked shot for the first 3 rounds, and he got dropped as well. So do you think that was just like an aberration, an anomaly in his record, and he's actually a bit of a beast?
I'd say so. If you look at the likes of Ward and Kovalev, and they've went down early in their careers. I wouldn't read too much into it, but if you look at the guys he's beaten, as you say, he's beat that Mohammadini. He gave Nathan Cleverly a good fight when Cleverly had the title, the WBO title at the time. Tommy Carpensi, he's not a massive name, but he's not a bum either. And obviously his last fight, as you see, is with Chilemba. That's impressive against Chilemba. And last night, that just really impressed me. I was gutted when that guy lost to Pascal decision. I thought he beat him handsomely. So I want to see this guy. I definitely want to see him in with Adonis Stevenson, short lanky Drake Adonis, to be quite honest.
I'll just say on Adonis, last I saw that they was putting him back in with Fonfara.
Yeah, it was confirmed yesterday.
That's box rec as well.
What about the great Shani Monahan fight?
Is that isn't there problems with that? Maybe he's too tough, Dave.
He's undefeated. He's too much of a risk.
Well, Dave, tell me about this Gvozdyk then. Do you like what you see with this guy?
Yeah, I think you have to think maybe he might be hiding some glass because of that Karpensi. Karpensi's not really a puncher, is he? And he had him down and hurt, but he looks pretty good. Looks like maybe another Kovalev coming up. Not quite the beast that Kovalev is, but he has perhaps that potential. I think he's going to go the WBC route, which would put him in line for Stevenson. Why Stevenson still has that WC belt is obviously speaks to the terribleness of the WBC, along with the other sanctioning bodies. But yeah, hopefully he gets that shot, and I think he would beat Stevenson as well at this point.
I'm sure Dmitry Bivol's got a fight next week, so that's a potential opponent. He's got that interim WBA title.
Yes, there's quite a few names then, Andy, knocking around at light heavyweight. We've named a few there, haven't we? Obviously, Kovalev, Ward, Bivol, Stevenson, who's not really fighting anybody, Beterbiev. We've got this guy on the way up as well.
So that's going to be 3 titles at light heavyweight again. Fuck, you know.
Yeah. Just got to get them fighting each other.
Exactly. I'm just going to do away with this regular title and interim title shite, man. Ward's a champion and that's it, eh? So.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Ashley, any words from you on Gvozdyk? Were you impressed with what you saw? Gonzalez is a tough beast, isn't he? But I think he was taking too many shots at the end. I felt sorry for him on his haunches with his nose bleeding. He was just a guy who just gave his all and wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I loved it. He looked like a dead man, didn't he? Looking back at his corner when he was on the ground, blood streaming from his nose. I loved it. Gvozdyk looks like a beast. I'm excited to see him get in there with a few of the big names out there. Like everyone else, I want to see him get in with Adonis. I want to see him smash him to bits, to be honest. I'm gagging for that, the day that Adonis gets his head smashed in. And I think Gvozdyk might be the guy to do it.
Yep, wouldn't mind seeing that myself, man, to be honest with you. Right, we're going to talk a bit of Alexander Usyk in a minute, but before we do so, I'm going to bring a fan's favourite on. Mr. Marmite is on the call, Big Porky Russ. Russ, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's happening then? Did you see any Lomachenko last night?
No, I didn't see that, mate. Sorry. I fell asleep.
Russ, you're a casual, man.
I know I'm turning into a bit of a casual, aren't I, mate? Sorry about that.
No problem.
I think he would, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He looked pretty good, Russ. If you get a chance to catch it, you can.
I will, yeah.
No problem. Right, I believe you've got a special guest with you on the line there. Big heavyweight sensation Dave Allen's with you.
Thanks to be on set. Yeah, I'll put him on.
Dave, how's it going?
I do, mate. All right.
Not too bad. Thanks for joining us.
All right, mate.
What's happening at the moment then, Dave, with your career? Still training away? Anything on the horizon?
Yeah, just fighting. I'm fighting a week on Saturday in Liverpool. Fighting. I don't know what I'm fighting yet. 6th rounder and then Bramall Lane. I'm not sure about who I've got at Bramall Lane yet, but yeah, we're just working away on 2 dates really.
And what type of shape are you in at the moment?
I'm circular at the minute, but I'm trying to come from a lane, but at the minute my shape's probably circular, like an oval maybe.
Yeah, so Eddie's got you a few.
Dubai last night.
What are you saying?
He looks better than him who fought down in Dubai last night.
Oh yeah, what did you think of Dubois, Dave? I mean, you can't really gauge too much from that, can you?
No, I watched the ball last night. Well, I've seen it because I was interested because I sparred him. You can't take anything from last night, but I sparred him and he's very, like, people compare Joshua to Bruno, but Dubois is the real comparison to Bruno. Very strong. He's got a brilliant jab. I think he's a really good kid. I think hopefully they won't rush him. I think they're going to rush him. I think they'll rush him, but hopefully they don't because I want him my British title. And that, so you know what I mean. I think he's really good.
He's only 19 as well. I was surprised at that last night, man. He looks absolutely huge for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, he's massive. He's not like Joshua's 18 stone, but Joshua's not. I don't think Joshua's naturally a massive man, but Dubois is just huge. Really strong. He's really physically strong. He's not hollow like a lot of big men. Like I swear with Klitschko and Joshua, like I can shove him about, the grown men, I can shove him about perfectly fine and physically strong, but with Dubois, he's like a fucking brick.
Dave, what about your sparring with Joshua? How did you find him? I mean, what does he do really well, and what does he do you think you could exploit, or someone could exploit against him?
Well, spar Joshua, I first got the call to spar Joshua before the Olympics. So I was sparring partner for the Olympics, and I carried on sparring until the Kevin Johnson fight. And I think the most improvement I've seen out of him probably from the Kevin Johnson fight to the present day. So it's probably unfair to say, but I've never really rated him massively. I think he's a phenomenal. He's an athlete. The man's an absolute monster. He can do anything. You could pretty much tell him he could probably play football and rugby and anything at a good level. So I think when I sparred him, there were times people laugh about it, and it is funny because people laugh. Like, I had a lot of success with him. Like, people have said I can box a little bit. So when I actually went and boxed, I had a lot of success with him. So that's why I think Klitschko will beat him pretty comfortably because he's a manufactured fighter. He's not a fighter. He's not a boxer. He's manufactured. He's just been taught the basics very well. He's just a great athlete.
Do you think he's a front runner? He's an untaught fighter, Dave. Is that what you think, mate? If somebody's a bit of savvy, a bit of boxing ability, and that, they can cause them trouble.
Yeah, anyone who can box and move. Obviously, you've got to be at a really high level, but someone like Ortiz, I think, could walk him onto something big and take him out. I think Fury beat him with one hand tied behind his back. I think Klitschko 50-50.
Wow.
Joshua's an handful for anyone in the world. Even I think Tyson Fury beats him, but Joshua can knock anyone out. I think he's just such a great athlete. I don't think he's a big puncher. I don't think he can punch at all very hard, but he's very sharp.
What about the speed in that between Klitschko and Joshua, Dave? Good. I remember watching Klitschko against David T, and I didn't think David T was all that quicker than Klitschko. Klitschko, he's a phenomenal athlete as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I think Joshua's really fast. Joshua's fast, but Joshua just fired. When I was fighting, he just used to fire straight shots out. There wasn't really any thought behind him. So the best comparison I can make is like Ortiz isn't necessarily very fast, but his feet are positioned, and he's positioned in a place where he can hit you, and the punches are really short, and they get there quicker than Joshua will. Even though if Joshua was hitting a bag, he would hit a lot faster than any heavyweight on the planet by far. But when he's hitting another man, he's trying to hit him on the chin or on the sweet spot. He doesn't do it as fast as Ortiz, and Klitschko's not necessarily. Klitschko's got the same thing. Klitschko will hit you on the button, and that's why I think Klitschko will use Joshua's speed against him and knock him out. And I think my prediction would be Klitschko in a round or two. I think.
Really, that's interesting to hear.
I think Klitschko,
you know you're going to get you're going to get all types of shit on Twitter now, Dave, don't you?
Yeah, I know, but I like Joshua. Joshua gets a lot of stick. Joshua saying he's boring and this and that. Like, I know Joshua on a personal level. I've known him for years, and he's a nice fella, and he's actually got a massive personality as well. But I just think Klitschko will take him out around two. I think he'll come out, and I don't think Joshua, and I think Klitschko will put it on him before Joshua puts it on him.
Dave. My problem with Klitschko is that he has to settle. He has to settle before he throws. I know that Joshua's not got the movement of Fury, and Fury did brilliant in not letting Klitschko ever settle. But we've seen against Jennings and Fury and another 18 months older, he just doesn't throw until he is completely settled. And Joshua is surely if we've all seen that, Joshua is surely going to include a bit more movement in his style.
I just think Joshua is I don't know. I just think Klitschko will come out. I'm not saying Joshua's really chin up. From personal experience, I've not had him on the floor. I've not seen him on the floor. But I just from what I've heard, from what I know as fact, if Vladimir Klitschko hits Johnson Joshua on the head, it's game over. So, and I just don't see how Klitschko, unless he's slipped massively, will not stick one on Joshua before Joshua sticks one on him. I just can't see it.
Let me just bring in Dave Lowe back now, one of our American correspondents known as the Hater, so you could get a bit of stick from him. Dave, jump ahead.
Hater, love that.
Well, I'm not really a hater. I'm just honest. Anyway, I was curious about the picture, the picture of the that you had in the weigh-in for your last fight, or was the fight before last? You had some very short shorts on, rather tight. Now, Were they stuffed full of some socks, or was that?
He's asking for a friend. He's asking for a friend.
Yeah, well, I knew the weighing would have been 2 outside. So I just said to my mate, I said, it's going to be cold out there. So I just took some socks with me, put them down, and I got some free trainers out of it. So it was worth it. I'm really glad that I did it now.
How many views has your video got now, Dave?
Pardon?
How many views has your video got now on YouTube?
I think we're nearly at 2 million now. We're touching 2 million. So
Fuck yeah.
Dave Allen, sponsored by Kelbrook.
That's right. Mostly Latino men.
Orlando Cruz.
I've had a lot of really, really strange messages. A lot of women as well, but mainly men. You got to tell you can get.
Good stuff. Right, Ashley, do you want to ask Dave anything?
No, I'm just. I saw him at Hull a few. I went to the Hull show I think it was last year, and it's just someone I wanted to keep my eye on, and I just love the way he talks to the fans and stuff. It's really refreshing to have someone who's real, and someone who's not media trained, and someone who'll answer questions, and that's what I think is refreshing in the sport at the minute, especially in the heavyweight scene and the problems we've had with Fury and stuff, and that he's not very active at the minute, and Joshua, it's just a walking billboard, isn't he? So I think it's refreshing to have Dave around, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does in the future.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I think a lot of people think I should probably watch what I say in that, but I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. It is what it is. You gotta tell the truth about things, and sometimes they'll get pulled up and say, "Well, you shouldn't." I can't help it. I say as it is. I probably shouldn't say Joshua's. I think going to get banged out and around, but I think that's just what it is. And I know a lot of people in boxing don't appreciate me doing so, and they might not like me for doing it, but it is what it is. And the thing, I go on Twitter to get a following. I don't go on Twitter to get a following. I go on Twitter because I don't have many friends, and I just kind of do that instead.
Dave,
You must be fucking hard up for company if you're in Rossi's tonight, mate.
Dave, I've always admired your attitude, and as Ash said about your way of speaking to fans and that on Twitter, and I think really now you've got Eddie Earn on this project, whatever he's saying it, Project White Rhino. I think you've done is to have your following, your cult following, much outweighs what you've actually achieved in the ring, and I know you'll probably admit that as well, which is remarkable, really. And if you can get you another British title shot, I know they're talking about Lewisham. Is that the goal for this year?
Yeah, I know a lot of people say you got this following and you're not a very good fighter, but kind of really irritates me because I've been in with good fighters, but not even that yet. What I've done in the ring, like my dad is also my going, like what I've done in the gym, like I've got the better world champions. I've done amazing things in the gym, inspiring. My dad rings me after I fight every time. I fought from the Frenchman, Gavin White, Ortiz, the Polish plumber, and Howe. And he rings me up and he says, "Son, that was fucking awful. Like, what are you doing with yourselves? Like, you're going in the ring a fat mess. You're not training. You're like, what's going on?" So, start doing the ring what I do in the gym. Like, British champion, like, is the least I can achieve. But from what I'm achieving in the ring, and that's all that people can go on, then yeah, my following does far outweigh what I'm doing in the ring right now. So that's fair enough. But yeah, this year is all about health, and I think very achievable because the British scene right now, Cornish is fucking awful. I'm not going to tell them about knocking Cornish out. That's not fair. But Sexton, I respect Sexton, but Sexton like 10 years ago, Lewison is never.
We've not seen him for a long time.
Lewison's never going to get fit ever. He can do all the fucking videos he wants now. I know what everybody's doing at all time. And whenever he takes a piss, I know about it. I know what everyone's doing. So the heavyweight scene is awful. So this year I need to clean up because the likes of Dubois, Gorman, they're real hard fights. I mean, they're fights that I know I've got to get the experience from fighting the Cornishes, Sexton, and Lewison, so I can fight the Dubois and the Gormans sometime next year.
Dave, on a more serious note, obviously I don't know the ins and outs, but after the Dillian White fight with yourself, I know you took a break from the ring. Are you more? Would you say you was more settled now and ready to make a real charge this year?
Yeah, a lot more settled. After the White fight, gambling kind of got hold of me. Gambling's always had hold of me since I was 8 years old.
Really?
Since my dad sat me on his knee one day and said, pick one of these horses out, and I picked the favourite colour, Dato Star it was, and I picked it. I'll never forget. But last year after the White, I spent every penny I had. I gambled it all the way. But
Really?
the Ortiz fight came, and it kind of turned my life around in every way possible. Now I've got an opportunity, and yeah, on a serious note, I'm looking to make a real go of it now, and so yeah, it's all in my own hands now. So I can't really, if it doesn't work out, I'm not good enough, or it's my own fault.
Dave,
Yeah,
Eddie gets a lot of stick on Twitter and that. What's he like man to man to deal with?
No, the thing, I actually like Eddie because Eddie's my kind of man. Fucking Zuma! I think he's funny. So I don't know him on a personal level. The only time I see him is when I box. I see him at a press conference. I see him on fight night, and that's it. And he's from in my life. I don't know the ins and outs of what he makes on tour. I don't know the ins and outs of what he does on fucking home. I don't know. I don't care less. He pays me on time. He's working with me. I got one with the fella, so that's all I can go on, and I like him when I can from what I see.
Are you a boxing fan in general, Dave? Which fighters excite you, or do you just get in the ring and do your business?
Yeah, I'm a boxing fan. My dad was a professional boxer, so until the age of 16, I was kept away from boxing. I didn't even realise my dad was a pro really till I was about 15, 16. And then he got his videos out. I was like, yeah, this is what your old man used to do. So when I started, he kept telling me how he was better than me, and he's still telling me now. But yeah, now like I'm not as much a fan. A few years ago, when I first got into boxing, 18, 19, 20, 21, I was a massive boxing fan. John Murray was a big hero of mine. I thought it was a brilliant fighter. I admired him a lot, and I was lucky enough to train in the gym with him. But these days, I don't follow it as much as I used to. TV, most of them are shit, and they're not good fights. The Smith and Williams fight, I missed it. I was on another show last night, but Smith and Williams fights like that what excite me. Fights what I see is 50-50. Maybe other people don't, but fights that I see is 50-50. They excite me, but the few and far between. Joshua, Klitschko, that excites me. Hey, Belle didn't excite me because I thought it was a mismatch. I got it massively wrong. But I think Klitschko, Joshua really excites me. 50-50 fights excite me, and there's not a lot of them in boxing right now. You got the talents of Lomachenko, Rick on down. I enjoy watching that because I'm a massive boxing fan, but I found myself on YouTube watching Tony against Aaron Barkley and watching such fights as that because I'm a boxing fan, and I'm not a fan of watching 6 and 8 rounders or big names in British boxing fighting Argentinians over 10 rounds. That's not my thing.
Yeah. Just looking at Smith and Williams last night, have you ever had anyone stick the nut in on you, Dave?
Only at a weigh-in, some fat Bulgarian fella tried to stick in the head on me at a weigh-in once, but that was it. I didn't think he spoke English. I was talking shit to him, and it turned out he spoke English. So that's the only time that's ever happened. I've not seen the Williams fight. I've just seen the headbutt, and I don't really know what to make of it. I don't know if it was a deliberate headbutt or not. I just thought Lockett really. I don't understand why Lockett didn't go to the doctor or the referee and try and get it stopped on a technical decision. That's what I was thinking. But I'd rather have Lockett in my corner, being compassionate and pulling a man out of a bad cut on his eyelid than have Joe Gallagher sending Marcus Morrison out round after round in a fight he can't win. So with Gallagher in that situation every day of the week. What's your views on Big Joe? Do you think he's a cunt, or do you think he's a good fighter, trainer, or what? Well, I can't really say. I can't really say I think he's a cunt, but
yeah, he's a cunt.
I'm not a massive Joe Gallagher fan, to be honest. So I'm a boxing fan. I do a little bit of boxing, but I'm a boxing fan as well. I wouldn't. What I would say is I wouldn't go and train like Joe Gallagher's gym.
That's not Joe Gallagher's gym. That's Amir Khan's gym. It's like the Kronk back in the day.
Hey, Dave, what was it like fighting that Jason Gavin that time? He's a bit of a melter, isn't he?
Yeah,
Woo!
and I've always said I don't like anyone. People say there's anyone you don't like in boxing. I always go, no, I like everyone. And then I remember that Jason Gavin's a cunt. So do not like Jason Gavin. Jason Gavin is not a nice man, and he's awful to fight as well. I was very inexperienced at the time. People think, oh, he looks awful, but he makes everyone look bad. I only had 10 match fights and 8 professional fights, and I thought Jason Gavin, and he made me look terrible. And then he was a bit of a cock after the fight as well. So yeah, I don't like Jason Gavin.
What did he say to you after the fight?
He was just a cock. He just came in and said, if I was fit, I'd have beat you easily. And I was like, all right. And then he was just a bit of a bell end all night, really, just trying to eyeball me all night. But yeah, I think I'd have done him.
Mm-hmm. Dave, we appreciate your time. We're not going to keep you for much longer. Does anybody else have any questions they want to ask Dave?
Dave, Luis Ortiz, obviously he's a good fighter, but how did you find when you were up against him and stuff? It's quite criminal that he's not as active, but he should be fighting some of these top-end heavyweights as well.
It was difficult because when I fought Luis Ortiz, I'd only trained for 2 weeks in the 4 or 5 July. Well, from August, September, October. And 3/4 November, I'd not done a thing, and then I sparred Dylan White 3 times. I went on the pads twice, and then I boxed Luis Ortiz. So, even with the full training camp, no one would give me a prayer. So the fact that, and that's the only training that I sparred 3 times, the pads twice, and he was good, but in a way, he should. If Luis Ortiz is as great as everyone's saying he is, and when I was in there with him, I thought, yeah, he's very good. The man should stop being around. I wouldn't even be able to run 400 yards that night. So the fact it took 7 rounds to get me out of there, and he didn't even get me off my feet, I was really disappointed. I know that sounds mad, but I was expecting a bit more. I went in there thinking, he's an old man, if I hit him on the chin, and bingo, the big time, it's worth the risk. The money wasn't great, but it was worth the risk. But he kind of disappointed me a little bit. A lot of it was brilliant with what he did, and he punched really short and sharp, and it was in his timing and his. But I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't do a job on me. To be honest, I know that might sound weird, but yeah, that's how I felt about it.
Just before you go, have you done much sparring with Hughie Fury, Dave? How do you see him getting on with Parker? Do you think he can win that fight?
Well, I'm a good friend of Peter's, and I'm a friend of Hughie's as well, but.
Yep.
I just can't see him beating Josie Parker. He's been out now for over a year, inactive. He's still very young. He's only 22 years of age. He's been very inactive. How is he going to go to New Zealand and be a very good fighter? Josie Parker's not world class, neither is Anthony Joshua, but he's a world champion. But Josie Parker is a very, very good fighter. But in the 70s and 80s, Josie Parker would just be a young kid coming through now. But he's got a world title. But I just can't see how Hughie's going to beat Josie Parker. That inactivity and everything against him. I don't know. I can't see it.
It's going to be hard for him to get a decision down there. I think they're high on Parker down there. They're going to try and build him into a big star, aren't they?
Yeah, the only way Hughie's going to win. Peter and Hughie will say like, he's not a massive puncher. He's very defensively sound. How is he going to go to New Zealand and win seven clear rounds against Josie Parker? Because he's going to have to win 7 very, very clear rounds, to get a decision. And Josie Parker fire, it's in New Zealand. He's not boxed over a year. I just don't see it happening. I really hope it does, because Hughie is really one of the nicest kids going, but it's a massive ask.
Right, brilliant stuff. I think we'll knock it on the head. Dave, what's your Twitter handle in case anyone's not following you?
It is at David the White R1. I'd say it really slow because people think that I'm Italian or something. David Witterino or someone thought I was called once. Italian, so yeah.
Brilliant stuff. We appreciate you coming on the Nuthouse tonight. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.
All the best, Dave. Cheers, mate.
Right, Big Russ, do you want to say anything before we let you go about Williams and Smith from last night?
I've got to tell you that every time he eats something in his mouth, he can't chew it right because of what Ortiz did to his tongue.
He'll be no good at the muff diving now, then, eh?
Hey?
He'll be no good at the muff diving now.
Dave's not into all that. He's got that mentality of a Rasta man. He don't go down to honey pot.
Right.
Like, come on, BoxNation.
Right, obviously I watched it. I had Williams winning 7 rounds to 2 after 9 rounds, and then Lockett pulled him out, and I was surprised that it was a clear headbutt. Everybody saw it, apart from Richie Woodall. He was the only one who defended it, wasn't he? Bunce, Barry Jones, everybody saw it, even Skeletor. But that's what I did. He should have gone to doctor and got stopped on a technicality, and then they go to the cards, don't they?
Yeah.
The cards had him up winning by 1 round on all 3 cards, the judges. But in my opinion, it was 7 rounds to 2, so he's up by 5 points, isn't it? But I could see where he could be up 3 points, maybe 4, but not 1 point. So were they going to get jobbed? I think he'd have got jobbed. Or were Liam Williams shattered, and did he tell Lockett, I'm shattered here, and is Lockett taking the fall for him? I don't know really, but you've got to look at it like this. He came in £2 under, and Smith were £2 over, so one's a middleweight and one's a welterweight. That's my opinion.
Controversial stuff then, Russ. So you definitely think the headbutt was deliberate then? I thought that myself. Yeah.
Well, 14 headbutts, right, from round 4 onwards. 14 times he tried. They have that high guard, don't they? They try to come in with that left hook to the body. They all do that, all them fighters. Quigg, fucking Krusty Neck, fucking Smigger Smig, and rest of them. But he was coming in with his head. And on the 14th time, because I counted him, I've watched it back 5 times. The 14th time he caught him a beauty, didn't he? And he staggered him back. And Terry O'Connor needs to go to the Ian John Lewis fucking school of fucking refereeing, because they need to go Specsavers. Terry O'Connor is a fucking blind man, like Ian John Lewis. If he didn't see that, he shouldn't be a fucking referee. He needs to go where Mickey Van's gone. He needs to fuck off. Because he's a Warren man, that Terry O'Connor. Everybody in boxing knows he's Frank's pet ref. Just like fucking Mickey Van were. That's a disgrace he didn't see that headbutt. It was shocking, mate.
Do you remember the Cleverly Kovalev fight when he carried Cleverly back to the corner? That was fucked up, wasn't it?
I was ringside for that.
There's another fight as well that he did. I can't remember it where. If you Google Terry O'Connor, Google his name on Wikipedia, and it'll tell you there's 5 fights, then they're all Warren fights, and they all fucking did. And how he's still in boxing, I don't know. It's a fucking disgrace. But he actually carried Cleverly back to the corner. There's something else he did in that fight as well. The man's a fucking joker. He needs to go get his ice. He needs to go get Jimmy Kelly's glasses on.
Russ, wait. Hater Dave's going to defend Terry O'Connor. Go on, Hater.
Oh, actually, I was just going to ask, what do you think about his size and his weight? Like, do you think that's like shouldn't referees have to pass some kind of fitness test?
Listen, I'm telling you now, if you want to watch a good fight, go watch Carl Froch against Michael Monaghan. And Carl Froch gets him into the corner, unloads a 5-punch combination. Terry O'Connor jumps in and he slips and go watch that on YouTube. Carl Froch against Michael Monaghan. And they told him, Mick Hennessy told him after that fight, Terry, you need to get in shape. Robert Smith told him, Terry, you need 4 stone off. And he's fucking bigger now.
Hang on, Mick Hennessy told him.
Mick Hennessy, I was fucking there, mate.
I can remember him being that fat, right? He actually asked for a towel to wipe the water up off the fucking ring canvas. He was that fucking fat he couldn't bend over, so he used his fucking feet.
Right.
Put Michael Monaghan against Carl Froch and watch Terry O'Connor break his arm as he grabs Monaghan and he slips and breaks his arm. And Mick Hennessy was stood next to me. He says, Terry, you.
That's a bit rich coming from Mick, though, Russ.
It's funny used to say that actually, because last time I seen Mick were at a presser, and this guy came around with all these sandwiches from shop, and Mick said, "Have you got my cheese and chicken and mushroom pie?" So we're all sat there eating sandwiches, and Mick Hennessy's eating a fucking pie, and I turned to Richard Maynard and I said, "Look at that," he says, "Fucking hell, Hennessy loves his pies, doesn't he? Jesus." I can't say how can I, but Terry O'Connor broke his arm in that fight, mate, and you were told then. I mean, he has his trousers under his tits, doesn't he? He don't belt on his...
He's also aids as a judge. I mean, he gave the second Cleverly Bellew fight to Cleverly.
Yeah, he's useless, mate. The guy's a fucking joke. He's embarrassing. He's all for Frank. That were an headbutt by Frank's fighter against Frank's fighter. But we all know that fucking beef is fucking Frank's man, don't we? Fucking hell. It were all stacked against that Welsh kid last night in there. He were winning by 5 clear rounds. 7, fucking if you want to be funny about it. They were going to job him. They were going to job that kid last night. I'm telling you now. Well, they did, didn't they?
They did. Ross, tell me about Turbo Terry before you go. Turbo Terry Flanigan.
Fucking hellfire. You know what? He's about as fucking wooden as a plank of wood. He needs to take Tom Dallas's name, Tom Plank of Wood Dallas. They need to call it Terry fucking Plank of Wood Flanigan. Turbo? He's never been a fucking Turbo. Fucking hell. When you think of turbos, you think of Meldrick Taylor, don't you? You can't put him in that bracket, can you? Fucking hell, do me a favour. Linares or Mikey Garcia and put him over the knee, wouldn't they? Fucking Turbo. Fucking hell. He's another question there. Fucking guys.
He couldn't even fucking spell Turbo.
Have you seen him? He's like that, innit? Fucking 3504.
Ross, are you telling me, Ross, whenever he retires, you're not going to go to an evening with Terry Flanigan?
It's like going to that one an evening with George fucking Groves. Fucking, I want to go to that. If you go to an evening with him, you go see Tyson Fury, don't you? Because he has everybody in stitches, or Ricky Hatton. All the rest of them are fucking Plank of Woods, aren't they? And you got to one with Dave Allen, wouldn't you? That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we should get that going.
Because he tells it as it is, Dave, doesn't he? He don't fucking... He'll tell you straight, he's sparred them all, hasn't he? 500 rounds with Joshua. How many did we with Tyson? About 400 or 500. Never, have you neck with any of them? No. So he can take a punch, can't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd go to an evening with Dave. I'd go to an evening with Brian King, mate. You could have Tommy making a guest appearance. Both Tommys. Smido, Kirk.
Who's the second Tommy?
Boxing college. You should have all chaps on. We should all say it as it is. We're not being fucking like cyborgs like Joshua. Fucking load of shit. The program. If you go on Daily Mail today, Joshua's on there. He's got an £500,000 deal to advertise their masks. You know what they put? Well, they're on running machines.
Yeah.
He's the face of them fucking. They're like, SAS masks. What you're running in. He's the face of them now. I forgot what he's called. If you go on Daily Mail today, he's on that. He's a fucking cyborg. The program. You're not a joke, mate. We need real people in boxing. People should be real and not be fucking fake. Fucking hell, man.
Right, Ross, we're going to jog on. I'll give you a ring later in the show, okay?
All right, mate. You take care.
See you later. Thanks.
See you, lad.
Cheers, lads. Cheers.
I can't wait till Captain Kirk Ward hears this show.
Ross there, everybody.
Who's the second Tommy, by the way?
I don't know, Andy.
Tommy Gilmore.
Just because I'm fat. Maybe just because I'm fat. It's been 2 years.
Oh.
Right, okay, let's gather ourselves back together. Let's see who we've got on the call. Adam Smith, Ashley Cates is still with us. The hater Dave Loback, Andy Patterson, Tommy Allen, all on the Nuthouse. It's the Nuthouse for a reason, guys. Right, I'm not going to bother with Usyk for the time being. I'm going to go back to him. I think we'll stay on this BoxNation card while we've got everybody pumped up. Get you in first for this interim WBO super welterweight title fight. Of course, Beefy himself couldn't win the title because he came in overweight. What happened on the night, Smido? What Let it out.
Well, firstly, I will make it clear I have not watched the replay or any clips or anything like that. I was there live. I was by no means ringside. I had a decent enough view. I had Williams winning 6-3 after 9 completed rounds. The 3 for Smith may be judged a bit generous on my behalf. It could have easily been 7-2. I thought Smith won the 2nd and the 9th round. He had a good 9th round, to be fair, Smith. But I thought Williams was in control throughout. I thought he was very good, actually. I enjoyed watching him. He was jabbing well, moving well, looked the more comfortable, looked the more relaxed, worked pretty well on the inside, caused some damage to Smith's face. His right eye was pretty bad. I think the doctor inspected it on the one occasion. And Smith was very disappointing. I mean, this is a man who apparently was a world champion, made a couple of duff defences, and then went over and fought Canelo. They came out with something last week like he only had 13 rounds of sparring or 18 rounds of sparring before Canelo, and he was in much better shape. He can't even make the weight, which I think is absolutely disgraceful, given that the winner of this fight is either going to be upgraded or his next fight be for the full title, whether that be against, I don't know. I think it's disgraceful that he can't make the weight, given the history and comments that they've made. And it seems that in the build-up, they was concentrating too much on Gary Lockett and Liam Williams rather than concentrating on themselves. They took themselves over to Freddie Roach to do some training or something or other. I was really disappointed with Liam Smith in the flesh. Just that high guard. It was like his gloves were glued to his own chin. Looking for the Tesco Joe left hook as normal. I didn't think he troubled Williams at all. And then in between rounds, looking at my phone, look back up, and the bloody fight's over. Like I said, I have had a couple of texts trying to explain what happened. I still don't know what happened. If you're telling me there was a headbutt, I definitely didn't see that, so I can't say that I've got knowledge on that. I was absolutely raging. The worst thing about it was, right, he's won the fight by hook or by crook. Apparently, Liam Smith's been declared the winner of the fight. You get all three of the other Smith brothers that aren't fighting come in the ring, and the Smith senior celebrating like they've won the fucking FA Cup, giving it to the crowd, trying to big it up. Are you fucking joking? Are you actually joking? You can't make the weight. You've been beat up pretty much for 9 rounds, losing at least 6 of them, probably 7. Your face is all bloody. You've been shit. You've been absolutely shit. And everyone was saying, that you was in great shape ahead of this fight. It's fucking embarrassing what they did last night, mate. Getting in the ring, like giving it big licks, and then apparently they've had a meltdown on Twitter. We're all blocked by them all anyway, so we probably can't see it. I was absolutely fuming. I don't know. I still don't know what happened. I know you guys are probably going to try and explain to me whether it was the ref or the doctor or the fighter or the trainer. I don't know. I mean, I'm also talking a little bit from my pocket because I backed Williams. It was the last leg of an accumulator. He's fucking 1-10. Well, I think he was 1-8 at the time of the stoppage because, like I say, Smith did have a good 9th round, and then it's all gone tits up. Oh, I was absolutely raging. Joe, I don't normally come and hate on Joe Gallagher. I know that the famous line is, and it's a well-established line now with this podcast and another one, Joe Gallagher's a cunt. Well, he is a fucking cunt, and I don't even like saying that word. I was livid, absolutely livid.
Hey, to Dave Loback, not that I want to dwell on the weight situation, but this is what Joe Gallagher said before the Saul Alvarez fight against Liam Smith late last year. He said, "I'm not saying Saul won't make the weight. I expect him to. But we have seen there has been a trend in the last few years where fighters come in and say, it is a pound, what are you going to do? We've made this big fight and sold it. If they don't make the weight," says Joe, "and ask, are you going ahead with the fight? Then no, we won't. We have made our weight contractually, and if Canelo doesn't make the weight, then give us our paycheck and we will go shopping. We will 1 or 2 making it known now, but I don't think it will be an issue. I have a lot of respect," continued Joe, "for them, and it would be insulting to suggest that they won't make the weight. I don't see it as being a problem. They are the ultimate professionals, and we are the ultimate professionals." That's what he said before the Alvarez fight. Hey, to Dave Loback. So Joe's been caught with his pants down here, hasn't he?
That quote has not aged well, has it? They rarely do. I haven't seen the fight or any of the card, honestly. I was working all day, but this what happened last night, as far as I understand it, it does not reflect very well on Canelo. I mean, he did dominate Smith, but it kind of lowers the quality of the win, which was not a great win to begin with. And it also, I mean, he should have had him out of there sooner, shouldn't he?
Yeah. Thanks for that, Dave. Right, Ashley, boxing tip has sent us in a question. He says, if a boxer fails to make weight, should it be classed as a loss? Bit extreme, or do you think we should start getting to that point? Because, of course, we saw Sosa, I think, as well. Ashley may be coming in with weight issues as well before his fight.
No, it shouldn't count at all. I think it's an absolute disgrace what Smith did last night. I don't know if any of you saw the actual BoxNation, when they do the talk before. I can't remember off the top of my head who the interview's name was, but he was saying something like the Joe Gallagher thought they had an hour for the second weigh-in, but actually they had 2 hours, and that was their excuse. Did anyone else hear that?
Yeah, didn't they run in the studio? I think Paul Dempsey and
Bunce mentioned it as well. They thought it was 1 hour, but by the old British rules, but it's uniformly now it's 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah, it's a load of shit, isn't it? It's just typical what we're used to now with Joe and his boys, and I think it's an absolute disgrace what happened last night. The headbutt itself, I've had a look back a couple of times, and it wasn't the headbutt that caused the cut. You can see clearly that his cut and there's blood coming from Williams' eye before the actual headbutt itself. So I can't really put my finger on what it was from. I don't know if there was a punch before. I can't really spot it myself, but there was definitely blood before the headbutt. So I think I've seen a few people saying it should have gone down as a no contest before the rematch, maybe, but I think that's a little bit extreme. But yeah, it was definitely a complete shitfest by Joe and Liam last night.
Andy, let's just get to the bottom of what happened in the end. Then I was as surprised as anybody when they came back from the credits, from the adverts, I think it was, and the fight was being waved off or whatever happened. I was really surprised. What's the situation? Do you blame him for making this decision? Do you think, as Ashley said earlier on, or maybe it was Russ, that he was trying to save his fighter and take the heat himself? Do you think the Nick Blackwell situation may be playing on Gary's mind or something? What do you think was going on, Andy, at the end?
Oh, he's also got that issue. He obviously had the fighter that died. The what's his name? The Scottish boy died, Mike.
Tell.
Oh, I forgot Mike Towell. He was involved with that fight, wasn't he? I can see his point, but at the same time, he fucked up big style. Okay, I can understand why he pulled him out. It was a bad cut. It looks like the eyelid was hanging off. But you need to remember that he let Enzo fight Bremer with a fucking golf ball of an eye. I thought the woman in the corner was a doctor. Why was she not saying to the referee? If that's who she was shaking her head. She's looking at the cut, shaking her head. Why is she not calling for a doctor? Why is Lockett not asking for a doctor to come over here and say, look, listen, he can't continue here. How can you see that was the headbutt? No, obviously. If it's a punch that causes the cut, I'm sure it goes to the cards. Okay, so really that's what should have happened there. If it's a foul, right, and it should then be classed. It should go to the cards, but it could also even get done as a no contest. But at least it should be at least pushing for a no contest. It was a blatant headbutt. You can see it straight for the off, but at the same time, I don't know. I try to remember as well. I'm sure Williams actually alluded to the fact that he was tiring badly. I mean, he did seem to kind of put a lot into those first 3-4 rounds, built up a scorecard. I mean, I think I had it something. I'll tell you what my scorecard was 88-83 Williams. That's why I felt it was kind of weird to pull him out. Just say, take the chance. Just even if you sent him out there and just say run and hold, just to kind of like try and get the referee to have a look at the eye, get him to call a doctor up. And get her to stop the fight, or get her to basically say to the referee to stop the fight. I thought it was poor all round. There's people out there in the sport who are obviously heavily involved in it. They're equally disgusted by what Lockett there did last night. At the end of the day, it's his call, and this is what we're talking about. Joe Gallagher the week before with Anthony Crawler, when he was like, "Oh well, I'm stopping the fight and stuff." If Joe Gallagher really wanted to stop that fight last week, and I mentioned this, he would have stopped that fight. You saw it there last night. Lockett had the final word in that decision, and Williams he didn't even seem to kind of rise to it. He didn't seem to kind of like, so please don't stop it and stuff. I think Williams probably deep down knew he was struggling to hold on, and I'm saying to myself, well, okay, I've got you 5 points in front, hang in there. But then you think about it, if he went out there for the next round and maybe got knocked down, and then the fight gets stopped and goes to the cards, he's going to get beat by a point, because obviously everybody had him a point up, which I thought was kind of quite disgusting. But he won that fight alone on the jab, the right hand and stuff. But I just think, the movement, the constant pressure, Smith obviously trying to kind of get out the road, the headbutts and stuff, and as I said it before, is if you've got a guy constantly walking to you and you're jabbing, you're moving, you're just trying to box your way around about the ring and stuff, it takes a lot of energy. And as I say, it's a bit concerning that a guy, supposedly at maybe at his physical peak, struggling like that. So it's or maybe it's just a lack of experience. Maybe started too fast. Maybe he needs to kind of judge his fight a wee bit better. But I was absolutely gutted there last night because says it was one of the fights I wanted to see this year domestically. And it looked like that Williams was going to pull it out. I know all the Scousers are going to be loving this shit, but at the end of the day, your man won on a foul, and that fight should be classed as no contest.
Tommy, McKetch has thrown in a good question for you here. He said, what was more annoying last night, the manner in which Smith won or hearing that Williams was only a round up?
I actually had the fight closer than most people. Adam's 3 rounds up, but I gave Smith in the fight two of the close. I gave Smith 2 of the close rounds, which could have actually went against him as well. But when I heard the cards, he was only 1 up on all 3 of them. Man, that was just baffling. I'm really indifferent towards Liam Smith. I wouldn't say that I'm a hater like I know like a lot of people are, but at the end of the day, he's missed the weight with 2 pounds. See, in my opinion, anybody can miss the weight with a couple of ounces, and that happens, and that scales can be off. But you must know if you're 2 pounds over, and that you've got scales in that. Fighters not got scales in that all the time, and that actually to scales all week. He's never tried to make it that way, and his brother was the same. And then the way that fight's ended, I'm absolutely disgusted with the way the fact he after the fight, especially Paul Smith saying we'll give him this rematch if we choose to give him this rematch, and that no wonder everybody thinks they're fucking pricks, man. It's the way to behave. Williams just showed a bit of class after the fight, and that he seems a really good dude, man. But these Smiths are fucking they're something else. That whole camp is fucking. They're vile. They're vile.
They are. I'll tell you one thing. I was at the first fight between John Simpson and Swifty, right? See, after that fucking fight, they came right in at the corner. There was a wee small segment of Scousers down in the corner, right? And there's fucking Paul Smith getting it fucking large, fisting at the crowd and stuff like that. Not one person even did anything toward him. A complete prick.
Nah. I've had a couple of run-ins with him the other years, and that was just on Twitter and that. He just... Twitter first started kicking off and that, had a bit banter about the football and that, and he kind of swore at me and fucking talking about it. I can't remember what he says in that. Then I tweeted in that as well that he didn't deserve a world title shot. He must have googled that. He must have been googling his name or searching his shell on Twitter, and he came across the tweet and he gave me both barrels and that. He says I'm just jealous of him because I couldn't beat him in the ring and stuff like that. But to be fair, it's not very hard to beat Paul Smith in the ring. I wouldn't fucking, there's no somebody you'd fucking buy tune for, would it be? He's a fucking.
He's one of the guys that he's like, he reminds me of Miguel Cotto in some ways. Yeah, if there's a boxing fan walking past and he kind of stops to speak to him, he just fucking blanks. He just walks away and just fucking ignores you. A complete arse.
Aye. See the thing about that, that's what Kovalev have done to me. But see the thing with the likes of Cotto and Kovalev, they're fucking future Hall of Fame fighters, aren't they? They're fucking world class. They've been pound for pound fighters and that. And Paul Smith's a fucking silly wee guy from fucking Liverpool whose base wins at British level, and he thinks he's world class, man. He's above his station, man. He's into a grippy reality because, to be quite frank, man, he's an absolute joke among the boxing fans.
Sounds like it's time to break out the old download of Andre Ward versus Paul Smith.
I'm going to watch that again. I'd like to see him get at least knocked out another once in his career and that, man. I can't stand the guy at all.
Kovalev at 200 pounds catch weight.
That'd be amazing. I wouldn't mind. That's one fight I drew. I want him in with Joshua. Fuck that.
No, you don't want to see him or anything. You want him to lose a fight he's expected to win against one of those Lithuanian
That's
not many of that. You don't have many of them, though.
One of the 12 and 11 Latvians that come here just start fucking cold.
I was going to mention that. Is there anybody on that pound for pound Latvia list that's maybe like weighs between 168 and 180 that would actually be willing to fight him? With the guy with the nickname, the only person with a nickname on that list. You might fight him.
The number 8.
What I would say, the best incident that we've seen for the Smiths was when I mentioned it before, when Jose Burton against Buglioni. Burton in the last round, I think it was, rocked Buglioni back, and all 4 of them, to a man, stood up. Go on, get him, get him. He went to get him. Buglioni right hand over the top, fight over.
Caught in the end, didn't he?
One of my best Paul Smith moments was that time I went to go and see the Rickster, baby. Yeah, he went down to London and beat Katsides and that. Well, after that fight, Groves then fought Smith. Oh my
right,
God, I was sitting ringside for that. I was just, what a view I had of that left hand, just going in there and fucking right hook, boom. Frank Warren almost shat. I know Frank Warren's people listen here, but if you go and watch the video, actually see Frank Warren's reaction ringside. It was fucking glorious.
That was a great shot, wasn't it, Andy? Wasn't that arcing right hand right round the guard? Yeah.
It was sweet chin music. It was absolutely beautiful.
Right, time for about a controversy. We haven't heard him for a while. Amir Khan's jumped on the line. Amir, what do you want to talk about?
Paul Smith's come. He was celebrating more than Liam when the fight was over. It's just a pathetic excuse for a human being. I mean, I can't believe he's been on Twitter all day defending his brother. I think it's all a big farce, really. I think we should boycott the Smith family. I think they're all really bad. I think this is the end of Joe Gallagher as well. I can't see a way back for him. I know there's one Smith remaining, but they're all as bad as each other.
Oh, you think this could be the end of Joe then, Amir? That would be a day that we would all rue here on the pod. Just looking at the fight itself, though, I mean, Smith was losing, wasn't he? He was fighting behind the shell. He was getting the right hand off a few times, but his nose was bloody. His eye was bleeding really badly. It didn't look...
I mean, he looked pretty fucked up from what I saw. I didn't see the full fight. I saw clips. I just thought if it goes on a bit more, it'll just be the same thing. I think he would have struggled towards the end, but I think he would have won. But surely Gary Lockett had a feeling that the guy was up by 6-7 rounds. I don't know what was he doing.
I think it was a bad call.
I think so. I think with what's happened with Nick Blackwell, I think that's had a big psychological impact on him. He obviously had flashbacks, didn't he? He thought, if I let this guy go on, you know, what can happen? I think there will be a rematch. I think if we all get on there, Frank Warren's back like we all do, I think he will make the rematch, and I think the next time, hopefully, Smith will get dealt with. It's just hard to break him down. He's got that high guard, you know.
Yeah.
Bit pathetic, really. But what stood out for me, guys, completely random on Twitter, I saw Sergey Kovalev tweet Andre Ward saying he's going to end his career. So that got me excited. So I think he's pretty pissed off with the whole, you know, the first fight. So I'm looking forward to that one. I just hope he really goes for it this time. But I've seen a lot of guys, including some of you guys, saying Ward's going to win a lot easier this time. But I don't know. I think it's still an even fight. So I'm looking forward to that one.
What about Klitschko Joshua, Amir? That's coming up soon. How do you see that one going?
I think in my head, I think Klitschko, I don't think he can hurt Joshua. I just don't think he's really going to go for it. I think he'll be scared. Because if you've seen Klitschko throughout the years, you can normally tell how he's going to fight, you know. He'll come in, he'll lean on you, he'll pull you down, he'll do whatever he wants, you know. I don't think Joshua's going to allow him to do whatever he wants. And in that case, I think he's going to, you know, get hit pretty early, pretty hard. And I think he'll just be on the back foot. He'll be scared. On the other hand, if he does connect with Joshua and Joshua doesn't like it and backs off and, you know, gets in a shell, then it could be a fight. But I can see it going one way, to be fair. It's just how long it's going to last. Joshua's not been points with anyone yet. He's always found a way to knock people out. So yeah. He doesn't know how to lose. He doesn't know how to. You know, he's not really been in the fight yet, has it? Or has it? I don't know. I don't think he has.
No.
He's always had it in him to, you know, just knock the guy out. So, I mean, it would be a very sorry sight if Klitschko did go out like this. But I mean, he's had a very good long career. He's made a lot of money. He's knocked a lot of people out. You know, he ruined David A. That made my night. Although, you know, he's beat some all right fighters, but I think right now it's a crossroads fight, and you know, if he wins, that could be the end of Joshua. I don't know. Probably not. There's too much money in him. But I think Klitschko. I don't know. I don't know if Adam's checked the odds out. I don't know what the odds are on that fight. Is it close?
Joshua's about a 1-2 favourite now. It was reasonably close to being 50-50 when it got announced, but obviously the Joshua hype train extends as far as the bookmakers as well. So, yeah.
So what's Klitschko at now?
Well, you can get nearly 2-1. I think Klitschko nearly. I think what we've got to remember is I mentioned it earlier to Dave Allen as well. Klitschko has looked terrible in his last 2 fights. Has only won one of them, and has been out the ring 18 months. I mean, obviously, we won't know until the 29th of April or whenever it is. I'm not even in the country, so I don't really care. But I think that it's just. I think that Klitschko's just cashing in. To be honest, it's not very often he fights outside of his comfort zone, which is Germany. And I think, yeah, this is just his last payday.
I mean, I'd love to get it wrong. I'd love Klitschko to beat him and set up a mega fight, but I just can't see any way he's going to win, unless Joshua does a David Hay and gets an injury. That would make it fun. You know, if he breaks a leg or breaks a shoulder or something, that would make it fun. Or if Klitschko headbutts him, as we found last night, that tends to work pretty well, doesn't it? Talking about the headbutt, I did see it from a few different angles, and the more I look at it, I don't think he meant it. But what do you guys think? Liam Smith actually meant the headbutt.
I think he did. I think he flew right in.
You think so?
A lot of things I'm here, and I have to watch the replays and stuff. But this was one thing I caught at the time, and I thought he's gone in with the head there. And
why didn't the referee say, you know, that's naughty? You know, he shouldn't have done that. It's like let it go.
It's an old pro trick. If you watch Bernard talk, when she's at a throw the shot and they're going with the head down behind it, to me, it's deliberate.
But the head come. It was like the corner of his head. It wasn't like a proper whack, you know. But then again, I don't know if the intent was there.
Well, if there's anyone out there who's got a video of the incident, please send it me because I've not watched the replay.
The headbutt didn't cause cut though. If you watch the replay again in slow motion, he's already bleeding before the headbutt comes in.
It is, but that didn't help the way
it didn't help. Obviously, yeah, but I'm just saying what I'm saying is I wanted Williams to win as much as the next person, but you can't call it a no contest when the headbutt didn't cause the cut. It's been a little one on the inside or something that we haven't really noticed that's caused the cut, but he was already bleeding before the headbutt came in.
I think there was a slight cut before it, but I think the headbutt obviously that's when it worsened it, hasn't it? It's opened it right up.
I mean, one more thing, just completely changing subject before I go. What's Amir Khan doing? I mean, he's bad-mouthing Kell Brook. He's not really fighting anyone. Does anyone have any idea what the guy's doing?
He's about to take over.
Apart from making videos on Skype and selling them. I mean, what is he doing?
Don't know, to be honest. He's taking over MMA, isn't he? When he's not ranking himself off.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. And one more thing, guys. I don't know about what you guys think about this. Women's boxing. I mean, what the hell? It's something. What the fuck's happening? I mean, why do you want to see women fighting each other? It's just ridiculous. They're nowhere near as good. They can't really punch. They've got no power. I mean, what is it?
What about equal opportunities?
I'm not a big fan either. I quite like watching Katie Taylor because she's got a really, really good pro style. She's talented, but I can take her.
I've watched a few fights, Tommy, but I've not seen that excitement. You know, the little females, right? So you'd expect to see knockdowns and knockouts, knock out the rings. It's like not exciting at all. So I don't know why they're doing it. And even Frank's on the train now, and you can tell he's not really up for it. But no, the only fight I'm really looking forward to now is probably Kovalev Ward. So that's probably the only one I'm really going to watch. But now this weekend's boxing was a bit of a joke. But hopefully next week's a bit better the week after.
Hopefully so. Right, Amir, we'll jog on. Thanks for calling.
All right, see you lads. Bye.
Cheers.
Just on that, by the way, just what he said there. What would you rank that BT show last night? I thought it was shit. I mean, for what I saw, I forgot the undercard was actually on BoxNation. But see what I saw last night, I would say out of 10, I'd look at it at a 4. That was fucking AIDS.
I rated on Twitter last night. I gave it 3 out of 10. I really want to see them doing well with the BoxNation. Just obviously competition for Sky, competition's healthy, but that wasn't a good show last night. That's not a good debut at all. 3 out of 10 for me.
Well, Tommy, it's funny you should say that. We had a question from Luke Smith, actually, Luke Smith Boxing on Twitter, asking the same thing. He says, Tommy, who will show the more competitive fights this year, Sky or BT and BoxNation?
Well, you're going to have to say it's going to be Sky, isn't it? Obviously, they've got Brook and Errol Spence. They've got Klitschko against Joshua.
It's all pay-per-view, though, isn't it?
It's all pay-per-view. It's true enough, but you've got to see Matchroom still in the driving seat now. But they're just BT. They're just starting there. They're going to obviously hate to build this over time. It's not going to be done overnight. This will be done probably over a couple of years. So it's going to take time to build it. So I wouldn't judge them too harshly now, but we'll see how it progresses.
Right, guys, let's motor on with this.
Steve, I'll lead into Flanigan, but just on the show in general, I don't want to come across as just being up Eddie Hearn and Matchroom's arse and Sky's arse because I'm not. That was the previous Adam Smith, not the current one. I am a BoxNation subscriber. I did pay to attend last night. There's just a few things really for me. Despite it being a world title fight, Flanigan should not have been on before Smith and Williams. Smith and Williams should have been on last. Only the bottom half of the stadium was open. There was no big screen. Even to the point, I know that people were going to think I'm being a bit strange, but even to the point where I don't think the entrance music was even played loud enough, to be honest. That was a bit strange. But then when I bet there was maybe 6,000 in there when Smith and Williams fight, and there was a good atmosphere, no problem with that at all. Then Nicola Adams came out. I didn't watch a single second of that. I went to the bar, and then Flanigan comes on very late. I think possibly around 11:15 he gets in the ring. There's less than 3,000 people in the arena, and I bet by the time that the fight finished, there was less than half of that. I bet when Terry Flanigan is celebrating retaining his title in a whitewash, according to at least one of the scorecards, there's less than 1,500 people in the arena. How's that going to feel for a hometown undefeated fighter in his local arena? I mean, it's just they're not creating the buzz that it deserves, I'm afraid, and it's a shame. It is a shame because I want him to do well. I'm like I say, I'm paying my Nation subscription every month. I'm paying to go to this show, and we just need better. We just need better, and it's not even because I thought last night's card was good. It's a shame that Tete wasn't on. I was looking forward to seeing Tete. I think that's been delayed for a couple of weeks. Nicola Adams was a bit of a showcase. Maybe BT like that kind of stuff. I don't. Flanagan's obviously a world champion. So the ingredients for it to be a good show are definitely there, definitely. But I just think a few things are done in the wrong order, or not promoted in the right areas, or coming on too late. The ingredients for a good show are there. It just doesn't put them all together in the right manner.
Smido, did you see Jimmy Kelly against Rick Godding?
No, I got there when I left home when Paul Butler was on, so I obviously didn't see that. I got there when that young heavyweight debutant was on. That was entertaining because that fat bloke just started swinging. It was quite funny. That didn't last long. I saw Jack Catterall. I think Geffen, is obviously not in the same league as Catterall. Certainly not at his age now. Geffen has retired a couple of times, to be fair. Catterall just could not miss with that left hand at all. Could not miss with that backhand. And so it proved. I think that was a third round stoppage. We've been over the Williams fight. Nicola Adams, like I say, didn't watch that, or honestly was not interested. Women's boxing's not for me. And then Flanigan. It's difficult. It is difficult with Flanigan because he doesn't really sell himself. Frank doesn't sell him correctly. He speaks like a thick person, to be honest. And everything the best work that Flanigan does is on his back foot. So there's not that much power, and it's not very fan friendly, to be fair. And the Crawler fight, due to Crawler losing, but even if he didn't lose, it's as far away as ever. And we don't like to hear Eddie, and we don't like to be talking about money, and Eddie saying, you know, Crawler's the man in that fight, Crawler sells, Crawler's this, he's got the background, the backing, the broadcaster, he can sell tickets. We don't want to hear all that, but to be fair, it is correct. And we saw that last night. When Flanigan finishes his fight, there's one man and his dog there.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely no, I don't know why Martin Gethin's still getting wheeled out. He's, like Smido says, he's retired goodness knows how many times, and I think it was just because he had an upset win over someone on Eddie's shows. Was it Tyler or John Hibbert or somebody? I can't remember who he beat, but Gethin's done. I mean, he shouldn't be fighting anymore. Andy, don't worry about the undercard unless you saw anything. Zelfa Barrett looked okay. Heffron was in against a guy he'd already beaten in a round. Jordan Thompson was in against a fat Latvian who was useless. Petrov did a little bit better than we expected.
Who, Flanigan?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, mate, I watched about 5 rounds of it and went to my bed. I mean, he shouldn't be called Turbo Flanigan. He should be called fucking Turdo fucking Flanigan. He's absolutely... He was... No, I didn't want to hate on the guy because you shouldn't really be hating on people who actually bore you to death. But that's been what now? I've watched him for probably since 2013. He's never been a fighter. It seems to kind of spring up to me and think he's anything great. And if anything, last night I think he's actually become maybe one of the weaker champions at the weight. Derry Murphy's okay, you beat him, but how long have we been saying that Derry's been over the hill? Fana was like what, 42. Orlando Cruz, we know what he's all about, and Petrov, I suppose he's solid enough. He's a kind of outside kind of journeyman gatekeeper type thing. But Indongo Magdaleno, who, in all honesty, mate, he's a super featherweight coming up in weight. And Jose Cepeda, it was a complete freak accident. He threw a punch, the arms locked together, and he's popped his shoulder. He needs a breakout fight. It doesn't look like the Crawler fight's going to happen anytime soon. The whispers is that Flanagan's tight at the weight. He's going to have to move up in weight at some point. Which is a shame because at the minute he's no relevant, and the only thing that keeps him relevant is having that WBO title.
Tommy, Andy's right though, isn't he? Because the Magdaleno obviously wasn't that good. He was coming up in weight, but Flanagan looked impressive that night. He got rid of him. He saw the openings and he blasted him out. But it's almost as if they've sort of deflated the balloon, Tommy, after that, and they've given him Fana and Cruz and Derry Matthews, I think, was in there as well, and they've just took all the momentum out of Flanagan. And then that fight last night was just the icing on the cake.
I think he's actually went backwards in that. He should have been in big fights in that. I know they've been mentioning names and that, but Frank's not been in a position to get big fights in that for his fighters. So to me, I've always liked him. I've always kind of thought that he would have beat Anthony Crawler and that, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he'd beat Crawler now. I'm not a big fan of Petrov. I really didn't rate the guy, but I think he's definitely went backwards. He was saying last night the better the opponent he gets, that he'll improve. But it's one thing saying it, but it's another thing doing it. But definitely, you're right. He did look good against Diego Magdaleno. But since then, it's not looked good for him, has it?
Do you think, Tommy, that the better the opponent, the better I'll perform? Sometimes
I can definitely happen with fighters and that. They'll maybe fight their opponent's levels, but I'm not so sure with Flanagan now. I think the guy that holds his Zabida that he won the title for, he's a really good fighter. He hadn't got injured, that could have been that would have been his best test, that fight. But he needs a big fight now. Frank's going to have to put his hand in his pocket and get him someday. Hopefully they can maybe get the Linares fight. They're talking about that. I'm not so sure if it can though.
Tom, I had a question that just popped in from Tommy Roosh. He said, question for the panel, is everyone buying the Guru's drunken cousin excuse from last week? Hashtag Fritzel's Dungeon.
I'm telling you, man, see last Monday morning, the two of them were doing it, my cousins, they were both hungover. I was going to go down and just dive right at the top of them. I shut myself when they came in, man. What the fuck is this? I'm trying to mute it because they're screaming and that, and fucking, it was the working and they were at the top of me. Oh, they're nutters. Like, that's my wee cousin. That was her. It was in New York there for Paddy's Day. She was out with me and Donnie and that. She's a bit mad.
Fair enough, Tommy. Right, Ashley, I know you have a question for us before.
How old is she, Tommy?
Oh, sorry.
She's 27, 28.
Oh, so it's okay.
Oh,
she's
Donny,
breeding age, and it's all
Donny
right.
get on well with her, yeah.
You should have nice
Yeah,
tits.
Donny's her friend, yeah.
That's my wee cousin, you dirty bastards.
Right, Ashley, save us from this filth pit. Before you ask your question or whatever it is, anything on the undercard that struck you from last night?
Yeah, well, just on that, it did sound like some sort of dominatrix scene you had going on there, Tommy, last week. I don't know what. Definitely worried me. I had to turn off for a few seconds. But
I took me about quarter an hour to kick them out the house. They weren't going to leave.
But yeah. I don't know what Martin Geffen's playing at. We all know what kind of level he's at, kind of Tommy Coyle level. But he didn't look in shape at all last night. He didn't look bothered at all. One thing on Jack Catterall, though, I do think he has got a bit of potential. And the one question I wanted to ask you, lads, was what do you think about a fight between him and Harv Davies leading as a headline fight on a BT Sport show to get him a bit of exposure? What do you think?
I'd be up for that, boys. What do you lot think? Eddie wouldn't let one of his prized possessions go over, though, would he? I don't think.
That's never going to happen, I don't think. I mean, I think Eddie's tweeting out there recently that, but O'Hara Davis, the hype is real and stuff. You know, he's never fought or beat anybody that's actually worth a fuck. So I really do. Say again, mate.
Has Jack Catterall fought anyone that's worth anything? I think it's a good stepping stone fight for either of them to take to the next level.
Well, I suppose if you hate Scousers and that, then Jack Catterall's a god for beating Thomas Stalker. You know, in fact, to be honest, actually, I was really quite impressed with Stalker that night. But again, it's like everything else. He doesn't seem to he's not impressed me since then. He's never kicked on. He doesn't seem to went up levels. Everybody keeps going on about the fact that he's always beaten America and he's trained in the Mayweather gym and stuff. I don't give a fuck where you've trained. Just get in the ring and fucking, excite me.
Stalker turned over too late, didn't he? He's got that amateur style and that. Still, he's never going to be a good pro, is he?
How would you see that going, Ashley, if Catterall and Davis went in? Or what about the other? Isn't there another guy at that weight? Who's the other one? Isn't it Robbie Davis? Isn't he around that weight as well?
Robbie Davis Jr. You've got Easton for Edinburgh, and you've got Josh Taylor as well. There is quite a good scene domestically at 140.
Did Robbie Davis recently win the Commonwealth title as well? Was it last week or was it Friday?
Josh got the Commonwealth, isn't it?
I think Catterall is a bit underrated, to be honest. I think the lack of exposure that they got on BoxNation was the suffering point for him. I'd like to see this BT Sport as a platform for him, maybe to get in some a bit more high-profile fights and just try and show what he can do. I think he's one of these fighters that's going to go under the radar and suddenly get a world title shot, and everyone's going to be like, "Where the fuck have you come from?" But to be honest, hasn't really been given a chance. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to, as you say, the domestic scene in that kind of way. It's looking good at the minute, and hopefully the fights can be made. But anyway, lads, I'm going to get off anyway. I'm shooting off. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem, Ashley. Thanks for coming on anytime, man.
Cheers.
All the best, mate.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, one fighter who won't be fighting at domestic level anytime soon is Ashley Theophane. Stay listening to the call for the Belle of the Weeks later, because we have a cracker from him saying that he's not dropping down to domestic level. An absolute melter. Who's living in his own head, I think. Right, let's forget about this BoxNation card. I've had enough of it. And one person we haven't discussed from the Lomachenko card is Alexander Usyk. Now, I'm probably going to get a bit of stick for this, guys. I'm going to have my 2 pence worth first, Andy, before I bring you in. The commentator said in the 11th round, and I quote, "Usyk is a boxer-puncher who doesn't waste a lot of punches." Now, I fundamentally disagree with both of those statements from the commentator on Top Rank TV. I don't quite know who he is. I don't see Usyk as a puncher for a start. I think he's a clubbing accumulator who's got an excellent work rate, really high. He breaks people down. I don't think he's a one-punch knockout artist. So anyone who thinks he's going to dominate the cruiserweight division and then go up to heavyweight and dominate them as well, he hasn't got the punch, I don't think, to dominate the heavyweights. I can see him getting flattened. And then on the second point, he doesn't waste a lot of punches. I would say completely to the contrary from what I saw last night. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the guy. I look forward to watching his fights. But let's get off the hype train a little bit, because whenever he had that kid Hunter hurt in the 6th, 7th round, he threw about 8 or 9 punches in succession, and every one of them just completely whistled past his head. So his economy wasn't there either. Now, I'm not really sure how Hunter made it out of the 12th round, Andy, but fair play to him, because I thought he boxed very well early on. And for a guy who hadn't fought him to be breathing to it, he showed Usyk up a little bit in the first half of the fight.
I know what you mean, mate. It was an okay fight as such, but as you say, I know Usyk's been getting heavily hyped even before he even turned pro, actually. And there was a point during his career you were saying to yourself, what's K2 actually doing with this guy, because he was fighting at home. He was fighting the greatest opposition. I remember watching Johnny Miller, his name was. If you look at his record of who he fought before he fought Gvozdyk, it's nothing to really write home about. He's obviously picked up a slight wee bit, but fair play to Hunter, as you say. I mean, he showed some balls there last night. He decided to go make it a fight. The thing with Usyk, I don't know what it is. His style doesn't seem to kind of like no please me as such. But as you say, the way he throws punches, I think he punches hard enough to keep people honest, especially if he throws like an uppercut to the body that he normally does. And I think that's where he kind of like really hurts people. But he kind of follow through with like say his jab, his jab in the left hand. I don't think it's really all that. It's not mean to say he's not a good fighter, because without doubt he is a really, really good fighter. It's just it kind of maybe seen there last night that these guys in the pros, some of these guys, especially slightly more durable, a lot of guys did think this guy Hunter was going to get knocked out last night, 12-0. 8 knockouts. So it's obviously the guy's never been defeated. He's come and had a go. It was a decent enough fight, but Usyk, all this talk about moving up to heavyweight is really premature. I know he's wanting the belts at cruiserweight. That's where he's got to start. That's where he's got to probably finish his career, actually, because to be honest, if he's in there against like Joshua, I've said this before about Joshua, even though I don't rate him fully as a great boxer. On brute strength alone, he would absolutely walk through Usyk. I mean, there was times there last night, Usyk was standing, he was getting caught with the left hand. I think the left hook was kind of catching him a few times to the head, getting caught to the body a few times, and that he's bounced up in front of his opponent. He's then getting picked off a wee bit. But as it says, he probably needed that there last night as well, as the kind of go the distance against a guy. I don't even know if he was ranked, to be honest. If it was a WBO title fight, he would need to have been in the top 15 anyway. But it wasn't all that great. But he did what he's got to do, I suppose. He has got the tools to go far in that division. It's going to be like the killers, the guys that can take his punishment and actually kind of figure a way around about him. He tries to fight, similar to Lomachenko with the pivot and turn. But he's too big a guy sometimes, and I just think if he keeps doing that in fights, he could end up, come unstuck, especially if he starts kind of gassing.
He got off balance a lot, Andy, doing that, I thought.
He did a wee bit, mate. If you look at it as well, as that guy wasn't, he was the same height as him, but if that guy's going to throw a hook, how can he conceivably roll under that punch and come back up and still be on balance? He just can't do it. He would need to really dip the legs and to basically kind of roll up underneath and kind of come back with his shot. But he needs to be exceptional balance and stuff. I know he's into his what do you call it again, that Russian dance and stuff. He's into that kind of Cossack kind of dancing and stuff, but that doesn't, it's not the same kind of path as Lomachenko with the ballet and stuff. Good fighter, but the hype somewhat was kind of cooled a little bit for a few people. I still think he's a unified champion in weight, actually, in all honesty. But I really want to see him in against like one of the top 3, top 4 guys. Somebody's going to come have a right good go at him and kind of take him into trenches and stuff. Because as I say, he's a really good fighter, but you need to calm the jets a wee bit.
Yeah, Tommy, don't get me wrong. I think Usyk's a very good fighter. He's exciting to watch. He's clearly of the mindset that he'll fight absolutely anybody. And, he really gives it a good go. But is he going to become this all-encompassing monster that people seem to think? So the jury's out as far as I'm concerned, Tommy. And I've heard quite a few last few months or the last year since Usyk really came into the public consciousness, a lot of the hardcore elements. He'd smash so-and-so, he'd walk through Tony Bellew. If he fought Tony Bellew, would he smash him up in 3 or 4 rounds?
No, of course he wouldn't. I'm not saying that Bellew would beat him, but he's not going to go in there and smash Bellew up in a couple of rounds. That's just not going to happen. I wasn't impressed with him against Machuno, and I really wasn't impressed with him last night. See, to be quite honest, last night, if you look, he looked amateurish to me. He was crossing his legs quite a lot. He was windmilling punches. See, I thought last night that it was his stamina that really won him the fight. If Hunter hadn't gassed out, that would have been really, really close, and it would have went either way. He was consistently hitting him with the jab. Usyk's defence, look, it was pretty much non-existent. I know Hunter's a wee bit awkward in that, but it doesn't matter. If this is a guy that's supposedly going to go up and wipe out the heavyweight division, you should be dealing with guys like that with relative ease. I definitely think he's overhyped. I think he'll win fights at cruiserweight and that. There's no doubt about it. He is a good fighter. He's hard as nails. He can punch a bit, but the guy just doesn't. He isn't going to see it coming in that, and he is not going to. He'll not be the heavyweight champion. I'll hang my hat on that right now. No chance.
Hey to Dave, I'm hoping that you've seen this fight. In the last round, do you think Bill Clancy maybe should have stopped the fight? I was calling for it to be stopped. I think Hunter was all over the place, but he seemed pretty lucid, pretty clear-headed, and as I said before, Dave, he didn't seem like he was breathing too heavy.
I've seen the second half of this fight. From what I heard, Hunter made a good show of it in the early rounds because he started fast, and happy to hear that. Hopefully, I heard his corner was absolutely a mess, though, so hopefully he can get himself a good trainer and take that talent and heart and drive and make something more of it, because that's pretty impressive that a fresh guy like him would give problems to a guy as experienced and with as deep of a pedigree as Usyk. Anyway, the 12th round, it looked like Clancy had a bet on this fight going 12 or something, based like it took him forever in the first place to give him that standing 8 count, and then after that he just got clobbered some more. Basically, that round was all I saw out of Usyk that impressed me. For the most part, he was not that great. I think he took a couple rounds off. I think my man Maris Bradis beats him. I'd like to see that fight. I think it's time that Usyk stepped in with the top guys in the division, Gassiev and Bradis. I guess those guys have, because they just fought Huck and Gassiev just fought Lebedev. So I mean, those are the top two, right? I mean, I'd like to see them fight, and then Usyk maybe fight the winner. It would be nice if in the interim Usyk fights guys who are a little bit more experienced than Michael Hunter, though. I mean, come on, this guy's meant to be this Olympian darling genius who has heavyweight prospects. I think we can do better. So let's get him in there with, even if he doesn't fight Gassiev or Bradis right away, like get him in there with Lebedev. Lebedev's still a beast. Let's see that fight.
I've just seen something that John Pascal just signed for Al Heyman, so that's that potential Gvozdyk fight right out the window.
Hater, do you think that Michael Hunter could be the best Black American cruiserweight since Matt Godfrey retired off the scene?
Who the hell's Matt Godfrey?
He fought Marco Huck when he was 16-0 in Germany and got knocked out. I don't know if he ever fought again.
Well, Mr. USS Cunningham stopped Marco Huck, so he's the real best American cruiserweight. Although many people will call him European, since that's basically where he fought most of his career before moving to heavyweight. Yeah, no.
I remember one of the guys that Juan Pablo Hernandez fought, Troy Ross.
Troy Ross was good.
He fought Canadian, wasn't he? Wasn't he Canadian?
He was Canadian, mate.
He was Canadian.
Oh, was he? I thought he was American. Sorry.
Yeah, he deserved to win that. Yeah, he should have beat Hernandez. That was bizarre. And then he never fought again.
I think that might have been his last fight. Now you mentioned it, actually. Aye.
That was so weird because Hernandez looked terrible in that fight.
I liked Hernandez, Andy. I thought he had all the talent, but he was chinny. Didn't Wayne Braithwaite knock him out?
I'm sure he did make it quite early in his career. I think he obviously went the distance with the guy Ismail Abdul, who nobody knocks him out, does he? But I think, if you go to the Cunningham fight, actually, I think he bailed in that first fight, gassed. Even I think Cunningham got dropped quite badly in the first fight, and he somehow got himself back into the fight. Hence the reason for the rematch. But I just the guy was made of glass, and for I also read as well he's got financial problems in Germany. I think he's got maintenance to pay for kids and stuff, and tax problems and that. So sad sight, man.
It is indeed. Right, let's get motoring on because we've got a load of Twitter questions and Belle of the Week. Smido, did you see anything of Usyk?
Yeah, I was similar to you guys. I'm not completely sold on him. I'm not an expert on him either, to be fair. So probably the wrong person to ask. But just his power disappointed me a bit. Really, should have got the kid out of there 6th or 7th. I think he hurt him. Definitely the 12th. What I would say in the 12th though, as you said, Steve, he was kind of lucid. He was throwing back a very little bit, not with any power, but he was throwing visually. So that stopped the ref from making an intervention. So really, for me, it should have been the corner, regardless of whether it was the 12th round or not. He was getting hurt and bundled around pretty badly. I think at one stage they were calling for it. They were shouting for him to take a knee. after the knockdown. That was, as Dave said, the corner was pretty chaotic throughout, and they were just shouting double jab, triple jab, steal the round was another one that in the last 10 or 15 seconds. So yeah, I don't really know what was going on there, and I didn't really enjoy the corner work. But no, it's an exciting division, isn't it? So we just need to see. I agree with all you guys. We just need to see him in some proper fights with some of the other champions now.
Cheers, Smido. Final piece of interest from the week. I don't know if anyone saw this on Tuesday night. Maybe you did, Dave, from Pennsylvania. Edna Cherry got a win over Omar Douglas. The most exciting thing about this, I thought, was Cherry's trunks combined with Douglas, who seemed to have like a vacuum hose on the back of his head. It was on the PBC. Did anybody see it? If not, we'll just move on.
No, I've never seen it. No.
Didn't see it.
Okay, let's get the Twitter questions on the go.
How did Cherry look, Steve? Did you watch it?
I watched bits of it. I watched the highlights. It seemed to me at the end, the commentators seemed they thought he should have won the fight, but I didn't watch enough of it, Tommy, to comment. And Cherry maybe got a decision that he didn't deserve, or fair play to him. He's had a few against him over the years.
Exactly.
Christian Yares won last night as well. 10-rounder.
Yeah. Good old Christian. Still motoring on. Right, let's stick to these lower weights. Andy, question from Rory McGonigal for you. He says, the WBC have ordered Gonzalez versus Sorung VASYL, number 2, and Estrada versus Quadras as semi-finals for a mini tournament. Who do you think, Andy, will come out of this with the WBC belt?
Right, Gonzalez, Rung VASYL, and Estrada against Quadras. Is that what you said? Well, I want Estrada to beat Quadras because Quadras has just been a complete prick over the course of the build-up for that Gonzalez fight. I suppose with this rematch with Gonzalez, we're going to find out just how much is left. What can he do differently? I don't think he can really do much differently, apart from obviously not get knocked down and don't get cut, and basically try and keep it the guy's road. But at some point, as we know, Gonzalez has to step into a firefight. And this guy, as we know, he's heavy-handed. He's going to take a lot of shifting. And I don't think Gonzalez has maybe got the power anymore. Well, not anymore, but he's not got the power really up at that weight. But maybe come to me in a couple of weeks with that one. If I mean, Gonzalez is my guy. I mean, I'm always going to ride him. I'm always going to back him up. But I just think he's past. He's definitely past his best now. I think we never know. He's a great fighter, and all the great ones have got something else left in the tank. We never know. We see with Duran in the past, but hopefully Gonzalez comes through it, because I really want to see the rematch with Estrada and Gonzalez if it can get made. So really, if you want me to pick from my heart, I want Gonzalez to win, and I want Estrada to win. From my head, I'm probably going to say Estrada and probably Ring VASYL.
And so who will come out at the end of all that then, do you think, then, Andy?
I'm going to go with a tie. I just think Estrada's went up in weight. Again, a wee bit like Gonzalez, I potentially think he's maybe hit his ceiling as well with regards to the weight. Whereas, you saw against Gonzalez as well, the Ring VASYL was like definitely a division heavier than him. I think it'll be the same with Estrada, and just he could potentially just wear Estrada down and do enough to get it on the cards, maybe even stop him late, which probably won't happen. So I'll probably say with the tie on points.
Excellent stuff. Right, hey to Dave. Going to have to rack your brains on this one. Geordie McDonough sent in a question. I think it's following on from Gary Lockett's decision to pull out Liam Williams. Hater, what is the worst decision from a trainer in regards to pulling their fighter out when they were up on the cards? Anybody else?
I can't even really think of. I can't really think of one. I was kind of pissed off with the.
I thought you were definitely going to say Joe Frazier there, Dave Lex.
Well, he wasn't up on the cards, like technically.
Right.
I think he should have been at the time, but he wasn't on the official cards. I didn't like the decision by Brooks' trainer to pull him out against Golovkin at that stage. I know he wasn't up on the cards, and I know he was probably heading for it.
Yeah, he was up on the cards.
Really?
Brooke was up.
Yep.
Shockingly was I. Huh?
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, then I named that one. I think he should have let it. I think he owed it to the fans because we wanted to go in there. We wanted to see a knockout. We wanted to see the fight reach its natural conclusion, not some fag throw the towel in.
See, the thing is with that fight, though, I'm convinced. Brute, if you watch Brute, he was signaling at his corner about his eye. I think he was wanting pulled out the fight.
Probably was. Probably felt, oh, I've done enough to impress people. I can leave now without laying on the canvas.
That went on for a few rounds. He kept pointing to his eye, so I think he was asking him to pull him out, to be honest.
Okay, Tommy, a question from Rio Tonka. I believe you and Rio have had a chat about this on Twitter previously. He says, were Linares and Crolla the number 1 and number 2 when they fought? I had this debate, and I said it should not have been for the ring belt, Tommy, because there was no way Crolla was the number 2 in the division. He's got a point, hasn't he?
It doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be the second best, right? As Linares is the number 1 at ring at lightweight now, but we all know Mikey Garcia beats him. He doesn't need to be the best fighter. He was rated number 2. He was rated number 2 in the division at that point. He beat Darlis Perez and Barroso. He had the 2 ranking. He was saying, what was it? Who was he talking about again? He was talking about Barthélemy and that should have been ranked above him. But Barthélemy hadn't beat Mikey Baby at that time by the time the Crolla Linares fight was signed. So we Crawford and that moving up as well. And obviously the division opened up. Linares was rated number 1 and Crolla was rated number 2. It was for the Ring Magazine title. That's how they fought.
The thing is as well, even if Crolla wasn't ranked number 2, I'm sure the Ring have changed their ranking system. So basically the 1 can fight number 5 or 6. I think it goes up as far as 5. Right, but the number 1 fighter has to be involved in that fight if he's fighting like against like the 4th or 5th fighter, right? But it's just a complete nonsense because it used to be 1, 2, and 3. But I think the reason why it changes is because the title wasn't getting contested that often, eh?
Aye. Plus, I think the Klitschko brothers had a lot to do with it as well, because obviously there was one Klitschko brother was number 1 and one was 2, and they were never going to fight each other. So that's how I think they went on to they moved into the number 3 as well. They broke number 3 in.
It's a precedent, yeah.
To answer the question, it's quite simple. Linares was 1 and Crolla was rated number 2 at the time. So,
okay, Gory. Smido, question from McKetch. He said, which James is going to end up in worse nick, Tony or Kirkland? What do you reckon, Smid?
Who they put Kirkland in with next?
He was going to go in with Cotto, wasn't he? But who's Kirkland going in with? It was Cotto, I think.
That was Cotto.
Yeah. Well, I think the short answer to the question on current evidence is Tony. He is an absolute mess. He can't even speak properly. Well, he didn't come from a great base when it came to speech, but it's definitely got worse. But Kirkland, the way he fights, he still clearly is going to try and take a couple more paydays. He could get splattered at least another couple of times. So it could be a close call come the end of both of their careers.
Is Tony retired yet?
Oh. No, he's still going, Dave. He fought for the WBF title recently. Get your tickets now, man. Right, Andy. Miguel Cotto might be my answer to this next question for you from Ben Churchard. He said, who do you think, Andy, has the best resume of losses? I'd say Oscar De La Hoya, says Ben. And I thought maybe Cotto. I know he lost to Margarito, Mayweather, Alvarez,
Pacquiao.
Austin Trout.
Well, yeah, okay. But I mean, the other 4.
So
De La Hoya's a good shout, Andy, isn't it?
Is this like an active fighter, like?
Well, no, because De La Hoya's not active, so it probably isn't.
Right, so if we're going to go back in time and stuff, I mean, you could probably dig up Ray Robinson. You know, he lost to, like, say, Joe Giardello, Terry Downs, I'm sure, beat him as well. You know, he's a British fighter. Gene Fulmer beat him. Who's the other one? Joey Maxim, the light heavyweight. You know, so a couple of good. Obviously, Jake LaMotta. You know, some of these guys are on the Hall of Fame, so I think you've got to go with some of the guys that beat Ray Robinson.
I was watching about the Maxim fight a few weeks ago, man. He'd have won that fight. So it was obviously sold in temperatures, and that cost him in that fight, didn't it? So a light heavyweight, wasn't it?
Aye.
But he didn't even weigh close to light heavyweight, did he?
No, did he fuck no.
Smitho, the thing is back then, though, any of those guys you could name because they fought each other, they didn't care about losses, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think possibly anyone really, and there's a few of them that have fought Mayweather and Pacquiao because they're clearly the best 2 of the last decade. So likes of Hatton, Mosley, then Cotto, as mentioned, them kind of guys go in there. De La Hoya. I think De La Hoya definitely could. He's been Hopkins, Pacquiao, Mayweather, Mosley himself. So yeah, I think De La Hoya for me.
Trinidad as well.
Yeah, Trinidad. Yeah.
Although we don't count that.
To you next, just a brief comment from Craig Mastro. He said, "Is Frank Warren head over heels in love with Mayweather? He's constantly name dropping and pictures of them embracing." I think Frank is trying to attach himself to anything at the moment to try and make it work. Guru, question from Willie in Oz. He says, "If the Triple G Canelo fight never happens, whose legacy does it hurt the most?" Now keep this brief, Tommy, please.
I think we had this question about a month ago. For me, it hurts Triple G's legacy, obviously, because that's a fight. He needs a big elite name opponent. Canelo's obviously had the elite name opponents and that, so Triple G for me.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for that, Tommy. Right. Now, I am not able to get anything up on my phone at the moment. So if I miss any cards for next week and the previews that we're going into now, then please give me a slap on the wrist, guys. Brief mention, we don't have to talk about this. Art Palulo's show, as Andy mentioned earlier, Dimitri Bivol is fighting for an interim WBA world title against Samuel Clarkson. Quite why these stupid interim WBA titles are still floating about, I don't know. I thought we were supposed to be getting rid of all these, Donny. We're not getting into that right now. Let's get over to the SSE Hydro. Tommy, Andy, are you guys going to this? Ricky Burns, Julius Indongo?
I have decided, mate, that I'm not going to go because I can't get a ticket without having to pay a fucking fee.
I'm not going. I'm done with the Herndons as well, innit? It's a rip-off.
What really fucked me off is I was looking at tickets for Kell Brook and stuff. I'm saying to myself, I mean, fucking the increase like that for a fucking I was like, nah, no chance. It's not about the money at the end of the day. It's all about the fucking principle, fucking paying shit like that. But no, I'm not going, mate. I'm just going to say to the wife. It's a hard one. It's a really hard one. I mean, this guy Indongo, obviously, he's no Elvis there in his own country and that. But I was reading a bit about him in Boxing Monthly. Actually, I think it's his trainer and stuff. The guys come for literally nothing because they've nothing really got a boxing scene over there. I mean, he's managed. He's had to pay for everything, gyms and sparring expenses and type of thing and stuff, and he got a chance of a lifetime and basically turned it around about and knocked out Trojanovsky. The guy he's rugged, he's solid for the weight and stuff, and you just wonder. I'm just beginning to wonder. Actually, I've been having this thought for the last couple of weeks. I think he could beat Burns here. Burns, we know he's got a good engine. He can box a bit, but he's getting up my age now. Can he go against a guy? I mean, Indongo, okay, he's undefeated, 21-0. You can look at his record and say that he's not really fought much. 34 years of age, but you would think even with the fights he's had, he's quite fresh. The fact that he's got 11 knockouts tends to suggest maybe he's got a wee bit of power about him. We know Ricky's literally got a chin of iron. I don't know. I've got a snagging feeling about this fight that Burns is going to is going to get beat. And to be honest, if he does get beat, actually everybody's going to be out in force and stuff because. If it goes to the cards, it's probably a good chance that Ricky's going to get the nod, isn't it? So I think Indongo's going to probably need the knockout in this one. So we'll need to wait and see how it plays out. But I can see the haters really lining up for this fight next Saturday.
Tommy, I think that Matchroom have really seen the same as what Andy was explaining there, haven't they? Indongo's not a big puncher. I think that the knockout win over Trojanovsky was a one-off. Matchroom have seen this. They've seen a guy who hasn't really beaten anybody. He's not a huge puncher. He's got a really good belt. They're going to pay him a few quid. And they're going to take the belt off him. That's why they've got this fight with Indongo, isn't it?
Well, that's pretty much it, isn't it? If they get Ricky Unith. There's a bit of whispers and that about that just now, but I've got a bad feeling about next week. I don't know how. And as you see, it's only the Trojanovsky fight, but Ricky looked poor the last fight for me. He's obviously looked poor for a long time. He's maybe, I think it could be close again next week. I just hope he gets. I hope he gets a decision, but I hope he deserves it. I hope he deserves to get a decision. You know what I mean? It's got to be one of them. But I'm definitely not going to the fight. I've had enough of him. I'm pissed off. I'm just trying to hold myself back if I go on a rant here about that. But
go for it, mate.
Aye,
go for it. Go for it. Tell us.
The prices in that are fucking shocking, man. I've had enough. I was tweeting him all last week and that about it, man. Fucking, blah, blah, blah. Some of the prices, service charges and that. What's a service charge? Somebody buying 4 tickets and getting £115 service charge on top of the 4 fucking tickets when they're paying good money already. It's fucking downright greed. They've put the price up on the Sky Sports and that as well. Now, folk are tweeting me saying it's only 20 quid, it's only 20 quid. It's only 20 quid, aye, but at the end of the day, you're getting a pay-per-view pretty much every month now. If I'm paying to go to these shows and I'm paying good money to go to these shows and the money's creating up, and now they're putting the prices at ringside and that are fucking £1,500 to two grand for a ringside seat for Hey Belle. You fuck me, man. I can go to Las Vegas for a week for that. It's shocking and it's greedy. Eddie Hearn's he's got a good thing going just now. He's got the fans not attending his fights. He's filling arenas and he's starting to exploit it. The prices are creeping up and they're just going to creep up. A boycott is needed.
Tommy, I haven't got Ricky's record up in front of me. You said about his last fight. I remember Relic. That's the one. Yeah, I couldn't remember who it was. Yeah, he didn't look good in that, did he?
He didn't look good, mate. And to be quite honest, it's a fight it could have went either way. I had Ricky losing the fight 7-5, but I think Ricky's seen better. I think Ricky's seen better. He's got him this title, maybe try and cash him out, maybe against Carola. That'd be a big fight against Carola. Maybe make a bit close to £1 million or a wee bit more than £1 million each. So, yeah.
Hey, to Dave. I don't know if you retain any interest in this one. Just when you think they've got rid of Ricky Burns, he comes on back and wins some version of a world title. How do you see it going? Do you know much about this Indongo?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Indongo because I like when the Africans can do well, and that upset in Russia was awesome. Would be kind of cool if you were to upset. I mean, I don't have any problem with Ricky Burns, but it would be kind of cool if Indongo were to upset Ratchroom's plans here, and then spark Ricky, and the camera zooms in right on Eddie Hearn's face. Although who knows, Eddie Hearn probably won't even be there. Isn't Ricky one of those guys that Eddie just kind of like has on the sidelines, like Jamie McDonnell, and he doesn't really care that much about?
Nah, Eddie'll be there. He goes to all the fights, to be fair to him.
Okay, well, I hope it zooms in on his face if Ricky loses, and I think that he will lose. I think Indongo is fresher, even though he's fairly old. He doesn't have too much experience. I mean, we'll find out for sure if that was a fluke against Troyanovsky, because Troyanovsky was looking pretty good, and then boom, flat on his ass, cold. So we'll find out a lot about Indongo this fight and where Ricky's at in his career. I think he's very much on the slide, and this could be the end.
Give me a prediction, Dave.
Indongo, 4th round knockout.
No chance.
What do you think, Andy?
Not in 4 rounds. I don't know, mate.
Ricky's hard as nails. He's not going to get stopped in the fight. If anything, he'll lose the fight on points, but there's no much tougher, no many people tougher than Ricky Burns.
I keep thinking about the Crawford fight, and he wasn't ever really close to being stopped by Crawford.
No, and the thing is, what would you rate Beltran as? I mean, he's a come forward, he makes it rough for you and stuff. Ricky fought him for fucking 10 rounds with a broken jaw. That tells you where he's at. But it's like, again, how often can you keep going to the wells of your reserve and that? You just never know. It could be like one step too far. And apart from the Troyanovsky fight, but Indongo's still like unproven as such or unknown. You just don't know that. You just don't know. I think he might get it this time, Indongo. As I say, but if it's close any way, shape or form and stuff on the cards, I think it's going to go to Burns. I really do think so.
Tommy, before I bring Smido in, what about you? Go on, lay your neck on the line.
I'm going to see Burns by decision, close decision.
I'm going to go for Ricky 10th round knockout. Smido, tell me your prediction and then tell me what you think of the fight.
I think Burns will probably win on points, to be honest. It is pretty close with the bookies. Burns is about 1-2 to win, and you can get 7-4 on Dongo. As you said, Steve, and I agree, it's pretty cynical from Matchroom, really. They've seen an African bloke cause an upset in Russia. He's now got a title. They're going to sell it as unification. They think he's a weak title holder. And then Ricky Burns' status as the only, or one of the only leading lights in Scottish boxing continues for Matchroom. And also, I know Dave mentioned about Eddie thinking that Burns is one of the peripheral figures. He probably is, because let's remember that Eddie virtually bankrupt Ricky Burns. So that's another story. I'm not really excited about it. I just think Burns will probably win on points. The other lad's going to have to go for the knockout because he ain't going to be winning on points over here at Indongo. So, is there anything good on the undercard? I haven't really looked.
Right, just briefly, the undercard, Scott Cardle's winning his British title outright against Robbie Barrett. Fairly cynical match, that one. Charlie Edwards against Ian Butcher for the vacant British super flyweight title could be pretty decent. Charlie Flynn's fighting Ryan Collins. Joe fighting Scott McCormick. And Josh Kelly's fighting Jay Byrne, a kid from Dublin. I've seen him fight a few times. Lawrence Okoli, a few others. Anything you want to briefly mention, Andy, off that undercard?
Yeah, I hope my boy Baby Butch does the business. Just to fuck up Charlie Edwards. Joe Ham, good to see him. 10-0 now and stuff. I've never seen him as an amateur, kicking around about gyms and stuff and that as well. Only 25. Again, he's been kind of brought along steady. I think he's fighting for the Celtic title. Lawrence Okoli, he's just going to be padding that record, I suppose. But we'll be interested to see if he actually gets some TV exposure this time. But I suppose I want to see where wee Chucky Flynn's at actually as well. He's got a good bit of banter about him. He's got a good attitude, good laugh and that, I suppose. But just see where he's at. He's fighting Ryan Collins. So so Joe Ham and wee Chuck Flynn, and obviously Ian Butcher's going to be the three guys I'm going to be looking out for.
I just noticed Ricky's actually the younger man in this fight. Now, I don't expect that carries over to ring years, but Indongo's 34. And if you look at his picture on BoxRec, he looks like Floyd Mayweather Sr.
He's a bit 50, man.
It's always the case with these Africans. I mean, like you said, what do you call him? Kanu playing for Arsenal and stuff. And Martins as well. Christ almighty, they were like, they were getting passed off as like something like they were 22, looked like they were fucking 42.
Can I just say, if he gets beat next week, Scott Cardle, that would be literally the euphoria on Twitter. If that were to happen, would be out of control. I've not got that much against Scott Cardle, to be honest, but it's more the Joe Gallagher and this trying to win the title outright before fighting anyone good. He's already screwed Dodd once, maybe twice. It would be fantastic if Cardle got beat next week.
Certainly would, Smido. We're going to moving on to the value of the week. If anybody's been sending me messages on the Facebook page and the Twitter page, then so you're better off sending them before the show, just to let you know, in case you're wondering why they're not getting read out. Just wanted to mention this briefly. It was from a couple of weeks ago, actually, but this is the first opportunity. Andy Lee was discussing Sky Sports commentators on News Talk Radio, and Balls.ie wrote an article about it. I'm just going to very briefly just read this out in case anybody hasn't heard it.
This was good stuff.
I thought it was very interesting. Anyway, Joe Malloy on News Talk said, the commentator on Sky last night, this was discussing the Katie Taylor fight. I think it was on what undercard was she on again now, Tommy? Was it Crolla Linares or would it have been Hay Bellew? I think it was Hay Bellew undercard, wasn't it?
I think she was on both, wasn't she?
Aye, it was one of them anyway. And Joe Malloy said, the commentator on Sky last night said, listen to the roar for Katie Taylor. I didn't hear any roar. I would have said it's an uninterested crowd, to be honest. We could overestimate the extent to which she has captured the public imagination based on what the TV commentary is saying. And then Andy Lee said, people are certainly aware of her now, but the people who go to these fights in England, they're not boxing fans, they're Sky Sports promotional fans. They just go to events, they're event fans. Half of them wouldn't even know what they are watching. That's why the Sky commentary, to me, has been so damaging. They are so biased towards the home fighters, and every time you watch a Sky show, they call the fight wrong because they're so biased towards the home fighters, to their guys. They got one wrong again last night. They do it all the time. I think Tony Bellew, in his unpolished way, says a lot of right things, but the rest of them are all singing from the same hymn sheet. And then there's a few other bits and pieces from Andy as well. Anyone want to comment on that? I thought that was spot on from Lee.
That's pretty much.
Can I disagree with it?
You hit the nail right in the head there, and you see it week in, week out, and that it reflects in their scores. Again, they know what to score. They know what to score fights against their friends and stuff like that. It needs to be said, and it's good somebody inside the sport like Andy Lee. We've never really had much like this before talking about them, but it's good for somebody inside the sport like Andy Lee's come out and said that. Again, is validating what we've been saying for a long time, isn't it?
Well, you're quite right there, because I mean, people used to moan at us and that every fucking week we would come on this show and we moan about Nick Quallen and fucking Jim Watt. You know, every week, I guarantee just about we were moaning about them and stuff and needed change. That's happened. Andy Clark came in. Andy seems, I've listened to Andy the independent stuff, and then he came in there, a couple of times at Sky, done pretty well, and then lo and behold, it was a couple of weeks back. Actually, I forget what fight it was. He's just morphed. I think it was something to do with titles, I believe. He's just turned into another Sky, another Sky guy. Darren Barker's fucking awful. Matt Macklin's okay at times when he's on there, but who else? Paul Smith's awful. Carl Froch doesn't watch boxing. Ed Robinson seems to be, I didn't see much of him kicking around just now, so I don't know what he's doing, but unless he's working on some sort of documentary in the background. Adam Smith's just Adam Smith, he's good at what he does, but he's just pure hype. Joey Nelson's like, he's just trying to kind of get his point across. And Spencer X is Spencer X, non-knowledgeable, so...
I'll tell you something, there's going to be a day comes when Spencer gets commentary, isn't there? He'll get a show to commentary, man, eh?
But for positive discrimination, like?
They'll need to. They've only got him and Johnny there, eh?
Smido, values? Former Sky man that you are?
Yeah, let's go to the values. I normally bail, but I'm staying this week.
Oh, thanks very much, Smido.
Thank you.
Yeah, a few values, get through them as quick as we can. If you want to bail, then feel free. Or you might want to stick around with us for the rest of the show. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes as well, by the way, and YouTube, Facebook page, all those lovely things. We love you. The Guru loves you, don't you, Tommy? All the fans.
Fuck the fans.
Right then. Max Ashton has sent this one in. Usual bullshit from Sky Sports website. They said that Sean Dodd's next opponent for the Commonwealth title lost in a previous... Actually, it was a Central Area title fight. So a bit of fake news there from Sky. Andrew Holmes has been on the case. Apparently, Tyson Fury was congratulating himself for being the ring and lineal champion on the Wikipedia list. And Andrew Holmes said, "Congratulations on being on 2 of the columns, which no real champ wants to be on, or anybody cares about. Any of the main 3 champions, King Kong, Parker, or AJ, would ruin you."
Absolute fucking
That's
tosser.
That's age, man.
See, the thing is, Tyson Fury will always be the lineal champion until the day that he really comes out and says, "I'm retired." Until then, he is the man. And all he's got to do is step in the ring again and prove it. That's all he's got to do.
Yep.
Everybody else is just picking up paper titles. And that is a fact. Nobody can argue with that. In fact, anybody wants to argue with it, you can come and see me.
At the end of the day, they're all winning titles at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's either be stripped or vacated. Tyson's the champion. He's the man that beat the man. It's as simple as that.
I promised this one earlier. Ashley Treasure Theophane wrote this on his Facebook page. He said, "I'm in Floyd Mayweather's hotel suite in London, overlooking the embankment. Mayweather promotions boss Leonard Ellaby showed me a list of British fighters. Pick one to fight. I looked over the list and didn't recognise one name. I haven't watched a British 140-pound fighter box in years. That's one. Since 2008, I've been based in the USA. I only came back in 2011 to become British champion. Now, I might add a side note here. He also came back in 2012 and lost his British title to Darren Hamilton. Anyway, that. I haven't fought in London in 6 years, and I still have no desire to. Who is there to fight? Robbie Davis Jr., Frank Gavin, Tyrone Nurse, O'Hara Davis, Jack Cattrall have all called me out. What do they do for me if I beat them? 0. Promoters have offered me, doesn't even cover my training camp expenses, so it's not even worth it financially. Boxing isn't a hobby, it's my job. I'm very happy fighting in Las Vegas. I love it, in fact. Only fight worthwhile fighting here in London is the world champion. If not, I'll stay fighting abroad."
Well, where do you want to start with that one? I mean, he failed to do anything with Broner. He maybe won a round or 2. I mean, since he lost to Cano, was it Cano his name was? The guys that he's fought since.
Pablo Cesar Cano, the guy who Morales stopped.
That's the one. I mean, okay, he beat Lenny Dawes, fair enough. Jason Cook, Ben Murphy. Then he loses to Darren Hamilton. But other than that is it. So why would I can see your point if they want to fight Frankie Gavin. We all get that, but there's other guys out there you could probably fight. I mean, what he's probably right what he's saying. He's probably going to get paid way more money fighting in America than he's going to fight like Frankie Gavin in the UK, because we know Eddie Hearn's a fucking tight bastard and will really pay up on that. I heard Leon Love, he's complaining as well about the offer for Rocky Fielding. So it's just
for him 20 grand or something.
You see, to be honest, that is the current attitude of today's boxer. Why do I need to fight them? You can something. It was back. I don't want to keep going back to the good old days, but there was actually world champions who would actually put on the world, British, and Commonwealth, maybe sometimes European title on the line in one fight against, like, say, a local rival. That's because the champion was fucking. That was the man. The man travelled and fucking defended these titles. DFN's fucking not been a title holder since when? He beat that guy in Luxembourg for some fucking GBC belt or something like that.
Exactly. What was he doing fighting over there, Andy, for some GBC shit, man, or UBC belt?
As the PDs you get in Luxembourg, they're obviously more than Britain, but not quite what you get in Las Vegas.
Tax write-off as well.
Anyway, that's Theophane voted. Right, Ashley the Zulu sent this one in. Bellew of the Week to the 53 people that voted on the Ring Magazine vote for Kell Brook as the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Bad.
Oh dear. Now this one's a bit of a car crash. Aaron Warrington, our friend Ben North, sent this in. He said the whole account has to be Bellew of the Week. Aaron Warrington tweets to Joshua all the time, and he says, AJ, Antong, Joshua, make my shift feel a lot better, champ, please. Oh. Good old Aaron Warrington. Right. Bellew of the Week for this joker, John Kirkcaldy. I think we all retweeted this one, Andy. He said, every title fight that AJ is in should be, I think he's talking about pay-per-view. He's the biggest name in British boxing. What are you, free?
Jeez.
Thanks for that, John. Right. Jerome Foucault jumped in as well. Who's this for? I'm not sure who he was talking to, but he said, I think it was it to do with Smith, maybe? He said, apologising about the weight is one thing, but still ridiculous fight from the start anyway. You should be with Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, a.k.a. Real Promoters. I might have butchered that when I cut the top off, so sorry about that. Sometimes whenever I get them in, I'm trying to screenshot them. I can't get what they're talking about in. And anyway, excuses. Right, Mark D20 has sent this one in. Let's have a look. Curtis Woodhouse said, most people I know that know boxing are telling me they fancy Klitschko to beat AJ. Very interesting. And Stuart Davis said, that's because he lost on purpose last time out to Fury. So now people have written him off. It'll be a very interesting on purpose.
Smart Klitschko. Lost to Fury to build the AJ fight up, man. That was clever, that is.
I guess that's why he threw that giant headbutt in the 9th round.
Yeah. That was a good night.
Yeah, a few of us saw this one, Andy, from the fake Fat Dan Raphael, Latvia's pound-for-pound list. It's about him, isn't it?
Oh, that was tremendous. That was fucking brilliant. The thing is, there's only about one world-class fighter in that fucking list.
Yeah, but to be fair, Latvia it doesn't produce much, but Greatest is probably, for me, the man at Cruiserweight.
Agreed.
Fair enough, Dave. Right, Danny Flexen's getting in on the act. I don't know if he knows what he's nominating, but he sends me a few Bellew of the Weeks in. This is from Danny Cassius Connor. Cassius Connor was talking about Paul Butler last night, and he said, the way Butler holds his shape and throws his shots reminds me of a young Miguel Cotto.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Rory McGonigal, friend of mine, always finds some good Joe Gallagher ones. Apparently this week, Joe Gallagher said in the Boxing News, Liam Smith could have done a easy defense after he won his world title, Tommy. He could have done a Kell Brook and made some easy defences. Instead, he fought Jimmy Kelly and Predrag Radosavich.
Radosavich, the guy that was probably a fucking Bosnian warlord that fucking raped women and fucking burnt their babies and hung people for trees at graveyards and that. Fucking hell.
Sounds like a weekend out with Tommy.
It sounds like a weekend in Glasgow, mate.
Also, during the week, Joe Gallagher said if Liam Smith was on Sky, he would be pay-per-view.
Are you on
a Joshua Undercard?
Aye.
John Rawling mentioned this one Smiths. I don't know if any of you heard this. Callum Smith compared Liam Beefy to Paul Scholes.
I seen that. I heard that. Aye, sorry, aye.
And then he said, Liam's very underrated, which makes no sense. In what sense? Who's underrating him? What's he done that we should be looking at? I mean, it's a nonsensical point, Andy. How is he underrated?
He was getting handled. Sorry, he was getting handled by a 14-0 fighter who's just basically stepped up in levels. I mean, if people are going to say that Liam Smith's this and the next thing, and he's a world level fighter and that, then Liam Smith for 9 rounds. We'll say 7 rounds because I gave him 2. Was basically schooling him with a jab, a fucking jab.
Uh-huh.
What's he doing? Coming forward, he's leading off something, leading with the head and stuff. I mean, okay, he's received a bad cut, and he decided to go for it. Ploughed forward and that, and then that's his reward. But didn't he milk it like you did, man?
All these Smiths apparently are underrated, underappreciated, but I don't know what. I don't know why they're underrated. They never explain that. I mean, it's just... Anyway, let's continue hammering in on Liam Smith. Said Liam's the self-proclaimed most genuine fighter around, but after the fight, he said, if Frank offers me the money, then I'll do it again. Prick, says Chadders. Fight Disciples says, at Liam Beefy Smith, that is the most sensational Scouse comeback since Istanbul. # a new era.
That's a belter. That's a fucking belter. If you're a Man U fan, though, you think cunt.
Dan Raphael sent this one on. HBO Boxing made a complete mess. They had Sosa coming in the ring and they were showing about Lomachenko's notable fights. MS Boxing, baby. Lomachenko can't beat Gervonta Davis. Yeah, I'm said it. I'm sticking by it. Tank is a killer. And then Boxing UK 4004 has a go at Miss Boxing Baby. I've never seen her in action, so I don't know anything about her, which seems like a bit of a knobhead. Martin Hurry sent in this nomination for Pete W. at CM James the Yid. He said, just people wanting a bite, beefy lad, you won fair and square. Yeah. All right, then. Ben sent a couple in. The state of the opponent of Dubois, bigger tits than Vanessa Feltz.
She's a horrible cunt, that one, by the way.
For Steve Gray for speaking Spanish before the Nicola Adams fight. He also said Frank Warren getting a nomination for calling Adams the female Lomachenko. Yeah, I did hear that one as well.
Jesus Christ. Female Deontay Wilder for the power. Did you see her one mauling last night? Jesus Christ.
And finally, I sent this in for Mike O'Brien. Mike sent this on Instagram to Eddie. Eddie, I'm afraid you've been reeled in by the haters here. Keep putting together these fights. You're doing a great job, mate. I'm fixated on boxing, and that's down to the huge fights that you're always grafting to happen. Gotta say, I'd love to see Gypsy King fight his way back into the ring and prove himself worthy of a shot. Get it on. Come on, Eddie.
Fucking hell, man.
Right.
We all hope that Tyson can force his way into AJ's plans.
Right. Any nominations, guys?
I've got one. I don't know who the commentator was on the BoxNation feed last night for the Lomachenko card, but basically there was one of the co-commentators stated, and this was like midway through the fight, and that Wally Pep would be honoured to be named alongside Lomachenko.
Aye, I heard that as well.
Did you hear that? I'm saying to myself, okay, now, I put this up for the nomination because with Pep saying to myself, well, that's 70 years ago. I'll be happy to be like mentioned along against an all-time great amateur, but he's never fought any. I mean, again, people are going to take this the wrong way, but he's never really fucking fought anywhere near the level of opposition that fucking Pep fought, or the longevity. I think it's obviously bullshit about Pep no throwing a punch and around and still winning it and stuff. But that is a shite that you're dealing with nowadays. And fuck knows what Kellerman was saying last night, because I have been seeing some comments about Kellerman. I've got a copy of the HBO one, but I'll watch that later. But I heard Kellerman was also on his nuts about these historical references to Wally Pep last night as well. Mm-hmm. That's all the one I've got, mate.
You've just got to look at some of the guys that Pep's fought. Sammy Agnew, Chalky White, Sandy Sadler. It's
4 times.
Oh, exactly.
Exactly. I want to pick Kovalev, and Kovalev, just for being a mean, fucking nasty bastard. He's got. Let me find this now. A couple of tweets he's sent out here. A picture of him and Ward. It's just funny. This is what Belle the Week's all about. So I'm about funny comments and stuff and casuals, but. Kovalev mentions, be ready, motherfucker. I'll finish your boxing career. And then he goes on to say, Yep. He says Andre Sok. He says basically son of Kovalev, and he's got like a picture of like Ward on his knees, and it says "Pray to me, Andre Ward." Oh, you're a fucker, man. I see him, honestly. He's got to come out in this fight. I just want him to go for it. Just fucking get in there.
He's raging, man. He's fucking raging, isn't he?
I hope he goes right in there and just tears his fucking head off.
Oh.
That's I like the other nickname, Son of Judges. That's a cracker.
He's actually got a video on his YouTube channel. Actually, it's what's it called? I'll tweet it out. I think it's called Biased Judging or something, some shit like that or something. Eh?
Any other nominations, guys?
I got one. I know we don't like to talk about the UFC on here or MMA, but it's negative because last night they had their big pay-per-view UFC 210, and it was freaking cancer. It was garbage, and the new owners of the UFC are running it right into the ground. So they have a belly of the week, mainly for the co-main event, which ended in a complete farcical manner. The only good fight I saw the night just ends because some guy knees another one in the head. The ref stops the fight, and then they just call an end to it when the New York commission is a freaking joke. They're just like fooling around for about 10 minutes, and then they said, well, let's just call it end to it. Anyway, UFC 210 was a belly of the week for me. And also, Yuneski Gonzalez, his haircut, it looked like he was going for the shaved head, and then he stopped midway through. He's like, oh, maybe I should get an upside down raindrop on the back. Or maybe
see, all he needed was that bit of hair had in the back of his head. All he needed was a fucking ponytail, and I swear to God, he looked like Tong Po.
I heard some people calling it a soul patch for the back of his head. It was bad, and it didn't help that his performance matched his hair.
I thought David looked like he was in the barber's having his hair shaved, and all of a sudden he was like, "Oh shit, I need to get in the ring here," and he's like sort of ran out halfway through.
Maybe he didn't even know.
Right, who are you going for, Dave? Just give me your nomination.
Who was that one who was talking shit about Mike or Tyson Fury?
Andrew Holmes.
Yeah, him. Fuck him.
Fuck Andrew Holmes. Andy, what about you? For me, just to refresh your memory, a couple of the better ones that we laughed at. I'm either going for Fight Disciples, who were talking about the Istanbul thing, or Ashley Theophane.
Oh, I've got to be Theophane, because that is just absolutely up the straza of the current day boxers, and that, overinflated opinions of their self-worth, and think you should be on pay-per-views and on $1 million a fight for a 10 round or not, sort of shit, So I'll put in Treasure Theophane.
I'm going for Theophane T. He's out there obviously listening to that weirdo bastard Mayweather telling him shit, so.
What about you?
Me, I'm going for that lad who said it was the best comeback since Istanbul.
That was a good one, wasn't it? That's my second. I'm going for Theophane. So with 3 votes, Ashley, congratulations. You might not be winning world titles, but you're winning valuable titles anyway, like the Belle of the week. Questions coming on Twitter. So you've got about 20 and then we're finishing. Right, so for you from Cedric Selcom, a better fight, Lomachenko versus Garcia, or moving up to fight Terence Crawford? Garcia Crawford.
Is that for me?
Smido?
Smido.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Garcia and Crawford I'll go for, but I would prefer, well, it's gone now, but I'd have preferred to see Crawford against Pacquiao, but that's gone. Yeah, Garcia Crawford, because I think Lomas doesn't necessarily need to move up yet. The lack of challengers in the super featherweight division may say move up, but the size of the man says stay where you are. So I'll go for Crawford Garcia.
Thanks, Adam. Danny Robson sent in a message saying Joe Smith Jr. would be a good fight for Gvozdyk. I think maybe with the WBC situation, he's right. Would you enjoy that one, Hater?
Who was it? Against Gvozdyk?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If that could be made, yeah, I would definitely be happy to see that as an eliminator for Stevenson, maybe. Assuming Stevenson's still an active fighter, I don't even know what the deal is with him anymore.
And last but by no means least, Sean McClellan question. Nice. No, I actually asked this question myself. Sorry, Andy, about the William Smith fight. Was that the best win the Smith family has ever had? Disgrace of a family, says Sean. I actually can tell if it must be right up there.
It's got to be up there, mate, along with, like, say, Swifty beating John Simpson in Glasgow and then getting... if you go back and watch the second fight, Terry O'Connor was actually in charge of that fight as well. Complete and utter shitfest of officiating that one. It's basically allowed Swifty to just basically bull in and just push John into the ropes and all that sort of stuff. But it's definitely... It's got to be in the top 10 wins now, actually. It's got to surpass Paul Smith beating Tony Dodson, surely.
On that note, Andy, we shall finish up this evening. That was Andy Patterson, you heard, giving us some great stuff as always. Adam Smith, the betting guru, was on as well. The actual guru himself, Alan, Dave the Hater Lowback. Who else did we have on with Ashley Cates as well, making an appearance? Thanks to him.
Before we sign out, I want to thank the White Rhino for coming on.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks for you to coming on. I always like it when you come on.
Well, who doesn't?
Brian King?
No, Brian's a fan of Dave's. Doesn't he like... we're getting a lot of hate for having Russ on the show, though.
Okay, Dave, thanks very much. We'll see you all next week, guys. Thanks for listening.